don't know what's going on. Hold on.
Unscramble your mind. Unscramble your mind. Unscramble your mind. Unscramble your mind. Stop wasting time. Unscramble your mind. Stop wasting time. Unscramble your mind. Stop wasting time. Unscramble your mind.
Unscramble mind. Unscramble mind.
Hello, peace and love. Hi, everybody. It's what? Today's Thursday, a whole different day than what we usually do. I'm Sister Freedom, Big Mama in the house.
Yes. This is D to the O to the T to the S. What's up, Sakina? What's hello? Hey, y'all.
Peace and love, everyone. Happy Wednesday. It's Dulcinea.
No, Dulcinea, it's Thursday.
Oh, yeah, it's Thursday. I keep forgetting. All my days are mixed together.
Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Nisha.
And tonight we have Charisse, the realist. So we want you to go ahead on and introduce yourself. Okay, and tell us a little bit about you. You know what I'm saying? So we can get into the move and the groove and get into the build.
Absolutely. Hey, y'all. Peace and love. My name is Charisse, known on YouTube as ChariseTheRealist. I'm a young woman. I'm a mom. I'm a recent college graduate as of May 2024 with a Bachelor of Social Work.
Congratulations.
Yes. And right now I'm in the process of applying to Howard University for a master's program. So wish me luck because the process is pretty brutal. But I'm excited and I'm ready to take on the next chapter of my education. And I'm just happy to be here. So thank you so much, ladies, for having me.
Yes.
And y'all can hear my accent. I'm from DC, born and raised.
Okay. Okay. All right. So we're going to get into it tonight because we were probably going to talk about other things, but tonight we have got to discuss the Kamala Harris Trump situation. And at least I want to start off with how I felt about, I'm sorry, y'all. I apologize for my phone. Go ahead, Dots, or take it away.
Okay. Yeah. So we wanted to, we're going to discuss a number of things relating to the presidential election. As you guys know, that's coming up. We definitely want to get into a little bit more about Kamala Harris. We got our girl Charisse the Realist on here with us. And we were already getting into it in the back chat. And we was like, no, wait, we got to hold this conversation for the people. Okay. So let's get into it. Let's just dive in head first. Okay. So I know some of y'all have seen that the interview that Trump did with the Black journalist, right? And we had different opinions about that. But Charisse, I'm gonna let you take it away, and then we'll just follow your lead.
Great. Okay. So since we're starting with the Black journalist conversation first, so I had the opportunity to view that, and I wasn't happy with the way that things were going down. Let's just say that. I feel like even if we don't agree with a certain or a particular candidate, you know what I'm saying? It's still best to respect that candidate when they come into your house. And what you want to show is decorum, and that you want to show that, hey, like, I'm up to date on the issues. I'm up to date on your policies and the things that you've done. And those are the things that I feel like they should have been discussing. Because I think anything outside of discussing policies, discussing the reform and the change that we need in our community is just, it's counterproductive, right? So I feel like when it came to that conversation, I could just tell she wasn't feeling him off the rip. And the line of questioning that came after it, I just was stunned, because I don't want us to ever, as women especially, to come off like that. Like, we want to show, like, hey, even if we don't agree, we want to show that we're going to handle business and stick to the business of the conversation. And that starts with showing a former president the proper respect, whether you like them or not. So I could just tell, like, the energy was off. I think that if they had more of a diverse panel, that means men too and women, I think that they could have had more of a better balance, and the energy probably would have stayed on more of a neutral ground. So, I mean, yeah, I'll start right there. And then as we keep going, we can just keep bouncing back, because that's kind of where I'm
But
at
let
with
me
that.
tell you how I feel about it. I feel as though she was straight to the point, and somebody should have said it. And the questions that she asked him was questions that probably should have been asked. She, to me, asked the questions like a sister. That's how sisters talk. And what she did would have been no different than what I would have done. Straight to the point. Um, if you got the clip, Dots, do you have it where you want to share it and play it with the question
Sure.
of asking him? Because to
Sure.
me, I don't see how if it was rude or nothing. I see that he just didn't want to answer the question. It's just he played all around answering it. She went straight to the point of what she said. He lied straight up. You didn't tell the truth about. So I mean, why we got to pussyfoot around Trump? I'm sorry to say it, like that's an old word that my grandma used to say. But why we got to play like we pacify him? I mean, I don't care if he was the president or not. You know what I'm saying? Or whoever he was, he's still a human being. He still can be asked questions. And if she did her research and she found that the things that he said wasn't true, why couldn't he be questioned on it? So just because she asked a question and he couldn't answer, it was rude? No, I don't think so. I mean, just keep it in 100. You can play the clip. You want to send it to me, sis?
No, I want to let everybody else go.
I'm gonna share it now. I'm gonna share it to you, and then you play. One second. Yeah. Hold on. Sorry, I'm Charisse. Go ahead.
No, I just think it's not even about Sister Freedom, because I love you, baby. So it's not even about whether she can question him. You can ask him any question you want. I just tell I can feel the energy, and I can just tell, like, I can just tell that she wasn't here for it, and I could tell that it wasn't. It just wasn't from a neutral place, if you will. It's like when you're a journalist, you have to come from a more neutral standpoint. It's like you can, but you shouldn't come from a biased place. Even though you have your personal feelings, you have to know how to put that to the side and stay on what's what. Because what I find is that they question him a lot about, oh, you said this in the past, or you said that in the past. But I think that what we need to stay on is the agenda. And
but
what
you
you
don't think
trying to do.
You don't
No,
think
go ahead.
same thing if it was Kamala?
Freedom. It's in the back. Do you see? You see it?
But I just didn't want to do it while she was talking, Dots. My thing is, I think she would have did the same thing to Kamala. I do. I think she just a straight up person. She probably a Taurus. Dots.
Niche, did y'all want to say something before we play the clip? Niche, Dulcie?
I guess not.
No, you can play the clip. I haven't seen this.
Okay. So this is just a small segment of the, I guess, conversation he was having with some of these Black journalists, right? And they were asking questions. So this is the piece that I clipped, is the piece where he's addressing her identifying now as a Black woman, right? So because that's like,
I thought you was gonna go to the front part when he said she was rude. Can you put that on first?
I'll have to pull that clip up. But this is, to me, you'll get a sense of her tone, even when she's engaging with him around this question. You can pick up on, in my opinion, you can still pick up on her tone. But here we go.
including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first Black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define
diversity, equity, inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
Give me
a definition then. Would you give me a definition
DEI.
of that? Give me a definition.
Sir, I'm asking you a question, a very direct question.
Define it for me if you
I just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a Black woman?
Well, I can say, no, I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was Black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn Black, and now she wants to be known as Black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she Black?
She has always identified as a Black woman.
I respect either one. I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a Black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe that she is? I think
somebody should look into that too when you ask. Continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct question, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, as some Republicans
I really don't
have
know.
said?
I mean, I really don't know. Could be.
Okay, so hold on.
Now it's time. Okay.
Let me pause that.
I don't think that she was nasty. I think she was just a straightforward asking questions. And to me, he was rude by saying what he said about Kamala Harris. He never answered any of her questions. He just made statements derogatory and negative concerning Kamala Harris. Simple as that. I mean, her question, and if you go backwards, it was hard. Even he would just babble on and on. So she's trying to get her questions in. I don't see where her demeanor, her body structure, her head wasn't moving. She wasn't doing a ghetto move or nothing. She was just straightforward asking him a question. I mean, seriously.
I don't like the way she asked the question. I don't think it's a good interview way to come so hostile like that. Like, are you going to tell the Republicans to stop it? I see it happen a lot, and I think people miss out on good interviews because, like, one of the most iconic interviews, Frost versus Nixon, Frost was able to get Nixon to tell on his damn self by the way he asked his questions, the way he made him feel calm, safe to keep going in. And then he said the iconic, well, I'm the president. I can do whatever I want. It's not illegal when the president does it. He would have never said that and had to resign had it already been like he was already up front, like, oh, no, I can't put my guard down on here. So I think a good interviewer knows how to get the person to put their guard down so you can get the truth out of them.
That's to me what she did.
No, I have.
I'm sorry.
No, I have to.
Y'all are the first people I heard say that she was rude.
No, because regardless of what, you also got to think about the 48 laws of power. And if you are interviewing the president, or well, he was, so people still address him as President Trump, regardless of what. It's a way to do things, and how she came off was her tone. We already know who she voting for. It says it in how she presented her question. I mean, she didn't even have to. She came with the smoke, and he felt that. I mean, regardless of if she liked him or not, it's still a way to do things. And me, I have to learn that too about myself and how I come off sometimes. So, she could have did better. She really could have did better.
Well, I beg to differ. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Somebody did say they felt as though she was unprofessional. Personally, I think that she was straight to the point, and I feel as though I applaud her for being straight to the point. I can't see me doing it no different. It seemed like it was something that was held on people's tongues that they've been wanting to say, or they've been wanting to ask him. And she said, well, you know what? I got the opportunity to do it, and I'm going to do it. Just like I feel as though if Kamala Harris came on, she would say, well, it's been rumors concerning you sending men to jail on some trumped up charges that you made up about marijuana, and you actually smoke and it's been said that you smoke marijuana your own self. I think she just one of them type of people that is a straight up person, and that's just how she is, period. But I'm saying we can agree to disagree.
Okay, now here's the thing though. Okay, so peace, y'all. Copagatas, American Isness, DJ Kadik, 10AC, welcome y'all. We appreciate y'all. If y'all thought she was rude, or if you thought that her tone was a little bit off-putting, can y'all just put 1 in the chat? If y'all thought that she was fine, it was to the point, put 2. Okay, so 1 if you think that she was rude enough, or her tone was off. 2 if you thought it was good. I think, you know what? Here's the thing. Okay, I want to think, for me, I was like, all right, I understand their bias, and I do understand where the tone comes from, right? I get it. But for me, I want to talk about the meat on the bone, right? So he made a very telling statement. Okay, I'm seeing 1. Sakina said 2, so Sakina agrees with you, Freedom. She's the only one that agreed with you so far. But so when he made the statement about, I never knew she was black, right? She always identified as Indian. Now all of a sudden she was black. And the reporter kind of took that kind of offensively, right? Because she was like, no, she's a black woman, graduated from Howard, and da 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 da. But he said something that was fact. That he said, and that's the thing with Trump. A lot of people can't take it, right? It's like, and I don't know if it's because he's from New York, I got to throw that shit in, right? Because we do, we say what we mean and mean what we say, period, right? But that was a fact, right? It's like, so now you are playing on the black card, right? Now you're playing on the black card. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to be ski wearing all over the place with the AKAs. I'm going to be in my pink and green. I'm going to be wearing a dress like it looked like the Jamaica flag. And it's like, since when? Since when? And so what do y'all think of that? Right? What do you think of his statement? Do you think that he was wrong for saying that? Do you think that that was a little bit disrespectful? What do you guys think? What do you ladies think?
I think that he was disrespectful, but here's the thing. But that's just my opinion. I'm okay with that. I think it was this. It might have been a fact what he was saying, but he still never answered any of her questions. It's cool to say, okay, Trump made that statement about her. Okay. But let me tell you something. To me, black is a personality. Black is not only just the color of your skin. Now, if we want to start judging about her being black or not, she do got a lot of ways about her that's black. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm just going to keep it real. I ain't never heard her come out and say, let me finish. I never heard her come out and say, I'm a black woman. It's everybody else that's saying that she's playing the black card. She never came out and said, oh, I'm a black woman. No, she didn't. He never answered any of the questions that anybody asked him. All he did was come out and made, what they call it, ad hominem remarks. I'm just saying, I'm keeping it 100. Okay. By saying that Trump, what he said was a fact. Okay. To me, somebody could take that as being biased, because you're also at the same time not saying, but he didn't answer any question that she asked him from beginning to the end. Okay. He was all over the place about something else. That's why I said, if you got the other, when she first came on and asked him about the lies he'd been telling from gate to from his whole time being a president, getting kicked out of the presidency, and all the charges that he got away with, because I would be offended about that. Okay, that's what I would have. Do you think it's fair that you get to for all the charges that you've had, that your charges get to be looked over while brothers is in prison for probably the same thing you did? I probably would ask some straight up questions like that and see what he said. I guess I would have been rude for asking him that too. You understand? Anything that somebody asked him that is straight up, because the questions was fact too. What do you think? Would you allow that to happen? I mean, because Kamala Harris, she not saying she black. Everybody else is saying.
Now, for the record, sorry, Charisse, you're next. But for the record, I want to put this out there for the chat. I know, I mean, I know this, but I usually play devil's advocate, right? So the questions that I'm asking and the things that I'm saying is just to have the conversation, y'all. I want to be very clear, okay? Go ahead, Charisse. What did you want to say? This is just for the conversation, y'all.
Ooh, yes, Sister Freedom. You don't play, okay? So look, here's my thing here. I feel like, to answer your question, Dot, specifically, yeah. I feel like what he pointed out was actually 100% correct. And I think that a lot of times what we do is when someone who may have like the same thing with Barack Obama, you know, we see these kinds of people and we're like, oh, the Savior's here, whatever it is. And then we want to bring people into our culture without properly vetting them, right? Properly figuring out who they are, their background, and if they are truly a true American, like the people that are on this stage here. Yeah, I think that is 100% correct. And I think that the notion that because she went to a HBCU and because she's in a black sorority, that does not equate to blackness. That does not equate to her being a black woman at all. Does she identify with the culture? Sure. But that doesn't make her one of us. I just think that it's a systemic thing when it comes to her and her position and, you know, her being a senator and all of these things. And I think that people want to grab on to those accomplishments, if you will. I think that we do need to look at what Trump said in that regard and stop embracing her as a woman who went through the things that we've went through in this country, or come from women who went through the things that we've experienced in this country, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
So Copper Goddess said she's a fraud. She might have grew up.
Wait, hold on, so we can get to the
Dulcie didn't go yet.
I think Dots is gonna go.
Go ahead. I apologize. I'm reading out loud, talking out loud.
No, I want to hear what you, Dulcie. So, what do you say to that? Right. So, to people who say Trump made a point. She has never identified as black. She's always been Indian.
I think that's the absolute truth. I mean, as far as her whole legacy has been the demise of black people. And she's built a legacy on, I'm not going to say like go as far as, you know, a Judge Joe Brown that says on her knees for white men, but she has definitely been the face to be like, oh, it's a minority, but we're going to have you be the one that says Oscar Grant doesn't get any justice. We're going to have you be the one to say, oh, it doesn't matter that you're working 3 jobs and your son was late 5 minutes. Go to jail, lose your jobs, because truancy too many times and all this other stuff. And now she gets to be like, oh, I apologize. Now looking back on it, it wasn't the greatest thing to do, pandering to black people, but she wouldn't change anything to get where she is right now. So she's definitely going in as far as pandering to a community that she has cared nothing about.
Yeah, and to piggyback off that, you're right. She's never cared anything about this community. She pretends, she fronts when she go on a quote unquote black show, like she did a couple of years ago on the breakfast show, and act like she smoked weed and she did this and did that, and they caught on a couple of lies that she told. I mean, really, if she is to get elected, then she just another face. You know, I don't get why. I don't get she's black, we got to vote for her. Oh, just like Barack, oh, he's black, we got to vote for him. I don't get that asinine thought. I don't get that. Like, just because someone shares the same pigment, that doesn't mean that they're for us. That doesn't mean that they have any of our interests at heart. Any of them. Not one thing. And they made that clear. She and Barack both made it clear that they're not doing anything just for us. So what is there to talk about?
Yeah, and I was going to really say that because we have to think about every time election time come around, we have Boule, we have people like Steve Harvey, we have all these people trying to make it seem as though we can't vet and properly say, hey, what are you going to do for the black community? in exchange? Are you going to do something for our people? Are you going to help our people? And I always look at people with a side eye who get mad at people for asking the president or potential candidates what they would do for our community. Because for so long, all we've done is lay down and say, oh, they can't do this for this reason. They can't do it for that reason. We've made every excuse as to why we can't get the reprieve that we deserve in this country. So, like, I totally agree with you, Nisha. Like, spot on.
Yeah. I have,
I'm gonna say, wait a minute, guys. I'm gonna say I agree with everybody. I'm gonna say I don't listen. I got bad things to say about both of them. I'm the main one that said on the last show with Joe Biden and on HOK that she's not a black woman. But I think that she identifies as a black woman, which I don't know. From what I'm hearing, she must have some black in her heritage. But at the same time, I think she's identified like they say she went to all black colleges. She's in sororities, black sororities, and things of that nature. It's a situation where I'm looking at Trump or her, and with the things that I've heard that Trump is trying to do, I don't think I agree with him. For one, I don't think that no man has a right to tell a woman what to do with their body. You're not a woman, you don't know how we feel. So you don't have a right. That's just no, you don't have no right to tell us what to do. He's doing things and making up rules and situations that I don't think I agree with. I mean, that's what I'm saying. With me, it's a toss up. I think that somebody else needs to run. Somebody else just
can you?
I'm just not it. Hello.
Yeah,
I said,
we hear you.
I got an issue with both of them. With the things I've heard about her in the past, and I'm definitely not judging her on the fact that whether she's black or not, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's not why I would. It's the things that she's saying that she want to do. This is really the first time a woman is really, besides Hillary, is getting the chance to run for president. Okay. But, I'm not worried about whether she's black or not black. You know what I'm saying? I'm worried about what she's saying she's going to do for the community and do for the people. That's the thing. But, okay.
Here's the thing. Yes, my love. Can you please share? Okay, I want us to look at this because we're going to hear it from her words, right? And I personally could never tell a person who they are and how they identify, right? Like how you choose to identify is how you choose to identify. And I just think that for so long, over damn near a century, it's sort of been expected that if you have melanin, you're automatically going to vote Democratic, right? And we've gotten to a point now where this is the information age. People are now sort of the access is out there. Nothing is a secret. And so people have more information to sort of delve over, and people are changing their mind. They have a right to. I personally, I think to you ladies' point, right? Like playing on that whole, because she's a quote unquote sister, right? By her dad being Jamaican or what have you, automatically that means that she needs our support. I would say to anyone, just listen. The records are there. You can go to the whitehouse.gov website. You can look it up and you can see exactly what did Trump do under his presidency and what did Biden and Harris do under their current term, right? It's in your face, right? We can look at, because as they always say, the best predictor of someone's next step is what they did in the past. Point blank in the period. I also think that it's important to put into the conversation, at the end of the day, this is the presidency, this is the executive branch, right? It's only so much that the president can do in terms of passing a bill, in terms of writing a bill. That's not what the executive branch is there for. You understand? But I think I want to play this clip for you guys. It's only 2 minutes, right? This was about 5 or 6 years ago. I think this is when she was running with Biden for vice president, if I'm not mistaken. But let's hear let's hear what she had to say in regards to what are her plans specifically for quote unquote black people, quote unquote. Okay, here we go.
The Ho and Joe.
For Black people.
Let me back that up.
Do you support reparations for Black people?
Well, listen, again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized discrimination, segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, Black people have not. And so we have got to recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the LIFT Act. Give people who are making $100,000 or less as a family a tax credit, which will benefit and uplift 60% of Black families who are in poverty.
So by default, it affects Black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans that you would explore.
But no, if you look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit Black children, Black families, Black homeowners, because the disparities are so significant. So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities, and we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this: any policy that will benefit Black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No, because whatever benefits that Black family will benefit that community and society as a whole and the country. Right?
Okay.
Okay.
Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Sorry.
I'm sorry, was she lying or?
Sorry about that. Okay. So that was about 5 years ago when she said that. Despite the fact, now I just want to put this into context, right? And don't see Anisha, you're up after me, I know. But just putting this into context, right? So you heard her say that she wouldn't do anything specific, right? For quote unquote Black people. However, we do know that she has done, and she was an advocate for doing things just for Jewish people in Israel, right? We know that, right? But when it comes to actually putting pen to paper, and when it comes to actually doing things for quote unquote who she's now trying to get the vote from, you heard it out of her own mouth. What do y'all think about that?
Well, I would say, if I believed in that stuff, I think she actually answered it pretty well, because she was talking about policies that you can't actually change and enforce amongst people, and like, how likely are they going to give you reparations or a restoration act just for Black people before they actually say, oh, a stimulus for the economy that's going to affect millions of Black people. But what I would say is, I ain't never heard no damn lift in Congress. I haven't heard of Lift Act. I haven't heard of legislation that even says lift at all. That was a good policy to apply. Why hasn't she the vice president? Why aren't we hearing about her ideas for lift? To me, it's just like, oh, she just said whatever would sound good. I will say, to me, it sounded good, but that's all she was doing, because they know it's been 5 years and I ain't never heard of no Lift Act. And we would definitely take that stimulus check if she was going to lift us up.
I never heard of Lift Act either, just FYI.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, I just, to me, first of all, I'm not voting, period. So it's just another song and dance that they do, and it sound good to certain people, and it's just a whole bunch of rhetoric. Simply put, if you want to change people's situations, then also put people in place that can change those situations if you don't have that power. So I look at it like that. I mean, it's just a bunch of hogwash. The Ho and Joe.
Sometimes there is opportunities out here. We be so going on with our day, doing what we doing, working, being in our families, dealing with our families, this is probably the first time you probably even heard of the Lift Act. It's probably a whole bunch of acts out there and opportunities that we haven't even never heard of. So we wouldn't be um looking into it because I just pulled it up. It's there. But if we never looked up, I there's a lot to me, there's a lot of opportunities out there that we don't even know about. There's a lot of scholarships, there's a lot of monies out there that we don't know about because we be going on our day and not even thinking about it. To me, she answered the question. I was with Dulcinea on that, but Dulcinea says she never heard of the Lift Act. Frankly, I never heard of it either. I'm glad that now I'm hearing about it. Now I'm gonna look into it to see if the opportunity is still there. But at the
It's
same
well,
time,
I was saying as far as it being established, as far as it, not that they
mhm.
haven't introduced it, they introduced it just like they introduced the reparations, but I mean like it's not established in, it hasn't come out as far as to be like, oh, the Lift Act was passed. Here are the checks that are going to start going out to everybody. It's just something
Oh,
introduced, and people don't even understand that everything that's introduced, they get paid for. So they get paid to talk about reparations and then deny it. They get paid to talk about giving us a check and then deny it. So they've gotten paid for all these things, but at the end of the day, they introduce it, they talk about it a few times, and then it just goes dormant after that.
okay, but I'm going to make the opportunity to for myself to look into some of these acts that they talking about because like I said, I never heard of it, but it says the Lift Act establishes a program at the Department of the Housing and Urban Development in consultation with the Department of Treasury. It helps it help what it's saying pretty much besides reading all of that. It helps you with buying a house, helps you with your mortgage and all kinds of stuff. So I'm gonna look into it because I never heard of it before. So I'm gonna go ahead and look like it got quite a few things. And about what I'm seeing here, a lot of them is for first home buyers act and stuff like that. So I'm gonna look into it. I
Yeah, I
maybe.
put it in the back too, as far as for people to
Mhm,
look into. And I don't know if you want to pull it up at some point in the night dots,
mhm,
but
mhm.
when people look into it, as far as it, you can always look into the HR bills at congress.com. This is it's a
Mhm.
good resource to look at it there, and it will tell you where this bill is. It
Okay.
will say introduced, passed. It gives you the exact where they left off when talking about it, what year, what was last said. You can see all that with every bill from congress.com.
Okay. But what I am going to say that I dislike and hope that Kamala is not for, uh, it's this stuff about men being able to go in the bathroom with a woman. She did make a statement that I was like iffy on when she said, because you'll be able to love who you want to love. Okay, well, I don't know what that means. What are you saying when you say that? It's a lot that I can take from that. So I mean, we know Trump ain't going for that. I think that Trump is the type of person that would say, no, we're not letting men wrestle women. I think that he's that type of person. I'm not really sure, but from what I'm hearing, he's that type of person. No, I'm not letting this happen with men that's dressed like women in the trans world. They can come in the bathroom with women and stuff like that. I don't think Trump is for that. And for that, I think that as a woman, Kamala Harris should have been starting to say something about that she's against that. But that's just personally my opinion. Other people might see it differently. But I think she should have already started, and she may have on another channel. I haven't heard her say it yet about that type of stuff. This is getting crazy. So
Can I comment on that video that you just put up there, Dots?
sure.
Um, the video that she was, I didn't get a chance to comment on that. I think, see, I always have this love hate relationship with politics, y'all, because like it just really grinds my gears. It really annoys me to hear political figures, especially political figures who say, oh, they're supposed to be so-called black or whatever this whole thing is. I hate to hear them always speak as if there's no reprieve for the situation of black Americans in this country. And I think that that's the most annoying thing ever. Like to hear, oh, I'm not going to just do a law for just Black people. Well, why not? Because there's laws for just Asian people. There's laws for just LGBTQ people. There's laws for just every other group, you know, and I feel like our group has suffered the most at the hands of this system. And to hear over and over again, even when I heard, you know, Judge Joe Brown, the same thing. They just make it seem like there's nothing you can do. There's no way you could get around the law. There's no way, you know, and I'm tired of hearing that. So I feel like, what do we do about that? Because if we're going to keep hearing excuse out there, excuse, like we all just brought up HR 40, and all these other things that, you know, they put out here all the time, but nothing ever happens. It sits at the house or wherever it does, never moves. All of these things are going on. So I just think that we have to hold people to task who want us to support them. We are not seeing that same support in return. When I look at the illegal immigrants that are being able to come in this country and receive the benefits that they have been able to receive, and yet we still got single moms in the hood only getting $400 and $500 from TANF and welfare and all this stuff. No, I don't want to hear that you can't do anything for just us. So like that's my issue with all of this. And I think that we've just been okay with just saying, hey, you know, you don't have, you can do whatever you want. You have Megan Thee Stallion out there twerking, you know, that's all, and that's what we'll accept. Right?
I agree with you, Charise, on that. I have to say,
and I don't give a damn who it is. I want to know which president or which candidate is going to do something for our people. And what tangibles are we going to get in return? What kind of America is this going to look like for our children that's going to grow up in this country? Are they still going to grow up in 50 years from now and have to experience racism still? From the lack of effort that we're putting in right now, it's like the attitude that is nothing that we can do is just, I don't believe that. You know what I mean? And I don't like that attitude. And I think that we've just been okay with accepting shit for what it is and where it is and not doing anything outside of it.
I agree with you on that. Go ahead, Docs, because I was when what Cherie was just saying, that's what I feel like them ladies was doing, getting straight to it. What you here for? What can you do for us? I'm sorry, Dots,
are you there?
Yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. I apologize. I'm here. Hey, you guys, also welcome as y'all coming in. Copper Goddess, Sakina, I know you modded up. Take care of the chat. Sela, I just want to say hi to the people. Cosmic, peace. Outside the queue, peace. Okay, so, Dulce, you want me to share this? The thing that you put in the back chat?
Yeah, sure. We can share it now, and then
okay.
I can talk about the point of what I feel like we can do.
But I'm what
I think you should. Yeah, you can speak on that. You could. I want to share something first, real quickly, like just to see. So under all right, let me back this up real quick. So, because y'all made me think of. That's what it was. What y'all were talking about, you know, the LGBTQIA, you know, and how a lot of things have been pushed for them. I think that the bigger point, though, and we have to remember this, is that, you know, with the LGBTQIA and all those types of groups, there's money behind them, right? Because money talks. That's the bottom line. That's how the NRA became so powerful. That's why the whole quote unquote Black Lives Matter, and we can get into that movement, if you will, became so popular. That's why the LGBTQIA, you know, have seen so much advancement, is because money talks. And that's just the bottom line. And if we're, you know, in terms of looking at when, you know, we hear, okay, so what are you going to do for us, quote unquote, we have to put money behind that, period. Right? We have to get, I mean, that's the bottom line, right? There needs to be lobbyists, and that because money talks, right? And I think that sometimes that can be understated. But can you share this real quickly, Freedom?
I was gonna say, Doc, we got the money according to them. You know, we the number one consumers out here. You know, we got it's about where we putting it.
Yeah, exactly. Spending it, and thank you guys, because that's exactly what I wanted to get into. Because
Yes.
the fact of the matter is, they play in our faces with this whole politics game. That this is power sitting in front of them. Listen to them lie to us about something that they're going to introduce, something that they're going to do to make our lives better. As we go year after year after year, no, they don't do anything. They don't do anything they said that they were going to do in the primaries, throughout the primaries, throughout the elections. All this, once they're elected, they will maybe put in a policy they said that they would implement, but the rest is just basically going by the private sector and what policies the private sector need. So we have, if we're calling us black, we have a black caucus, but it's about what the black caucus is putting their money to. Where's their agenda? Well, it's Black Lives Matter agenda. Well, they got millions of dollars. Where did they put into it? A mansion. They live in lavish. So a lot of people are saying things that people are like, yes, say it, girl, amen, all this other stuff. And none of that is power. Power is the money. And more specifically, it's the resources. Beyonce has power because she can influence millions of people to do a certain thing all at once. And the fact of that is the real power that they've distracted us from. Because the influence that we have on people, they use it to just be like, influence them to buy something, influence them to go do something or whatever that's non-productive. Not us all sit down from work for a day and really be like, now you have to listen to us because the workforce just sat down for one of the days. And we would, if that happened, if a boycott of that magnitude happened, they would listen to us that day. So we just are distracted from that.
You gotta make heaven on earth for yourself. We always waiting for somebody to do something for us. We need to do stuff for ourselves, as we can see. If they're not gonna do it, then at least you have to do it for yourself.
But I really think there's a reason why they trick us into voting because of boycotting. Because how successful boycotting used to be, and they tricked us into being like, forget boycotting, vote is your power, when they know for damn sure voting ain't no power.
Right. Boycotting would be the way, but so many people are comfortable and they don't want to rock the boat. They're comfortable in their lives. They don't want to lose out or miss out on the trinkets that they have been given. When you hit them in the pocketbook, it does make noise. But a lot of people don't want to let go of what they have. They don't want to take. They don't want to walk the work.
Yeah, girl.
They don't want to.
But would it even be taken? Like, would you have to take away what you have if you just say, "Hey, this Black Friday, for instance, none of us are going to participate in," and like, what kind of change that? People say it every year, yet no one does it. But I think all it would take is like one Black Friday, and none of us participate if we really wanted power.
But people are so comfortable and they are so conditioned that they will not do that. You could have 50 people that say they're going to do it, and by that morning or that night, whatever, because I don't celebrate these damn holidays. So whenever they go into the store, 40 of them going. So it's not in unison. It's not that, because I got to get something for the kids. We conditioned to shop on Christmas and all this consumerism for stuff that don't even matter for real. Like, it don't even matter for real.
Because I think when you I'm sorry, thoughts. Now I want to piggyback off Anisha for 2 seconds, because I totally get that. I was just talking to somebody about that earlier. Like, a lot of us are scared to make the ultimate sacrifices that need to be done. The stuff that got to be done. We scared to come together and do it because we scared about what's going to happen.
Yeah,
we don't know what's going to happen. Some people scared to die. People scared to really get out here and really fight for what needs to get done. I said, what the hell do you think it was doing during the civil rights movement? What you think was happening? Some people had to, because otherwise we wouldn't be in a position now to be able to speak on what we're speaking on if it wasn't for their efforts. And I think we're in a better position now than we've ever been before. But then we have people, let's go this way, let's go that way. Just like Kanye said, it's always going to be some type of bickering back and forth about what somebody should do or not do. We have to be one unit, and we are not that. And I think that that's the main issue here, is that We want unity. It sounds good. We want to be on the same page with each other, but you know what I'm saying? It's I don't know. It's just a hard thing.
It'll never happen, sis. We would never be in unison. Never.
It's so sad to me, and I think this is the biggest problem that we had, and this is why we can't do shit. I mean, excuse me, this is why we can't get things done the way that it needs to be. I'm telling you, it really breaks my heart to see us like this in this position right now in 2024 after everything. Like I feel like it's only like a pinch. We've taken like a couple baby steps, but we ain't nowhere near out the water.
So I was all right. So you know what? Also, and I want to show you guys this real quickly. What has Kamala Harris accomplished as vice president? Like a quick summary. But when we talk, even the talking point, when I think about it, like when we say, you know, what is this candidate going to do, right, for quote unquote us, right? It brings me back to that conversation that we always have on the show, and then we keep talking about, like, but who's the us, right? Because we're not a monolith. Who's the us? Because my core values are not necessarily going to be Cosmic Mind's core values or Sakina's core values, right? Maybe the platforms and where I stand and what I believe in is going to look very different. And it's that assumption, it's that old school assumption that if you have melanin, then automatically that means that you must be in alignment, or you must be for the quote unquote us, or you must be, if you are melanated, you're quote unquote black, and that must mean that all black people think alike. That's not necessarily true. A lot of things have changed in terms of that perspective. So really, when we think about who is the us, because we're not a monolith. Hell, we don't even identify as black, right? I don't even identify as black. That's not a nationality. That's not a race. Right? So like, who is the us? That's just something I wanted to say. But here's just a quick article was on USA Today. 1 second. So when we were talking about what has she done as vice president, and let's see what it says. Okay, so in terms of immigration, in response to immigration concerns, Harris' call to action was the public-private partnership, Central America Forward. I don't know, have you y'all heard of that before? I've heard of that, CAF. The idea behind CAF is to support the creation of local jobs and other measures in order to slow the flow of mass migration. If anybody can tell me what that means, let me know. CAF, which is Central America, the Central America Forward, has generated more than, oh, I lost my article, y'all. 1 second. It says that CAF has generated more than $5.2 billion since its launch in 2021. And its partners include more than 50 companies and organizations that have committed to supporting economic growth in the Central America region. The entities represent the financial services, textiles, apparel, agriculture, technology, blah, 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 blah. So about $5.2 billion has been spent, for Central American, I guess, nations, right? And I guess it's to help those countries build up their economy. And I guess the idea is so that, you know, their citizens are not leaving to come to the United States. That's $5.2 billion, right, on immigration other countries. In terms of voting rights, let's scroll down. Harris was at the forefront of the administration's pursuit to enshrine voting rights protection throughout the United States, according to White House transcripts. She pushed for Congress to pass the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, which would have extended the protections of the 1965 Voting Rights Act and required federal approval for some local election law changes. Okay, that's another thing. However, in 2021, the bill did not receive the 60 votes needed to overcome a Republican filibuster. So basically that bill failed. Next, abortion. Harris visited a Planned Parenthood clinic on March 14th, a historic first for any president or vice president while in office. So apparently she's the first president or she's a VP to visit a Planned Parenthood clinic on March 14th. So that's another thing that she did. Gun violence. In September 2023, Biden established the first ever White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention to reduce gun violence, overseen by Vice President Harris, as announced by the White House. Basically, this act builds upon actions taken by the Biden-Harris administration to end gun violence, which includes the signing of the bipartisan Safer Communities Act. Okay. Let's see, heralded by the White House as the most impactful gun violence prevention measure in almost 30 years, the now law bars individuals under the age of 21 from buying firearms. Okay, so if you're under 21, you are no longer allowed to buy a firearm. Let's see, maternal health. In her previous role as U.S. Senator for California, Harris introduced the Maternal Care Act and the Black Maternal Health Momnibus Act, which would direct multi-agency efforts to improve maternal health, particularly among racial and ethnic minority groups, veterans, and other vulnerable populations, as well as maternal health issues related to COVID-19. So even though the bill says, sidebar y'all, even though it says Black Maternal Health Momnibus Act, it's not just for quote unquote Black mothers, it's pretty much for ethnic minority groups. Okay, right. So it's not just for that.
About that next when you're done. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, I'm almost done.
Right.
The president's prior work on maternal and infant health care was a key component of the Build Back Better Act passed in 2022. This legislation expands access to maternal care and makes new investments to drive down mortality and morbidity rates. So really, okay. And the last one, broadband expansion. In 2023, Harris and U.S. Secretary of Commerce, Gina Raimondo, traveled to Kenosha, Wisconsin to celebrate the announcement of new electronic equipment production made possible by the Biden-Harris administration's Investing in America agenda and blah, blah, blah. Basically, it requires the use of American-made materials and products for federally funded infrastructure projects with the goal of bringing hundreds of new jobs to the United States. Right? The law also notably includes a historic $65 billion investment to expand affordable and reliable high-speed internet access in communities across, and Juneteenth. So made that an official holiday. So that's the things that I guess has been done under the Biden-Harris administration.
More distractions, more trinkets in a bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Black maternal health thing, I always, I take that very, 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 very seriously, because I know for like when we're talking about us as women in our womb, I think that that's a very serious topic. And I know for sure, like Black women, so-called, we are affected the most by that. Like, I think our rate is like 3 times higher than any other group. And not just in America. I think that's like a worldwide thing. Like, we have some very high numbers when it comes to women losing their lives giving birth. So when we're talking about that type of stuff, that goes back to our healthcare system, right? When our women go into these clinics and they're not getting the proper care, and that their concerns are not being heard out by these so-called, we have a deficient health system who will not listen to our needs and our concerns. So when I hear them say that this is I don't think that it does affect everyone, but I just hate when they try to lump our issues in with everyone else, when this is obviously something that is affecting us at a higher rate. So
can I ask you a question to get your opinion on that, and everybody on the panel? Because I know, like, you were talking about, our health care, but what do you feel about the fact that they keep talking about abortion as if that's health care, while they're taking our wombs? They're quick to be like, oh, you have a problem, we have to give you a hysterectomy. They're quick to not believe you when you're going through complications giving birth. So that's why infant mortality is 2 to 3 times higher. The mortality of the mother is 2 to 3 times higher. Heart disease is a big problem because doctors don't believe your pain. So when they're dangling this abortion as if that's our biggest concern, how do you feel about that?
I feel like Margaret Sanger, the person who, catapulted a lot of this, I believe she is a extreme bigoted racist who had issues with us as a people and wanted to say, oh, they have defects here, they have defects there. And I think that whole thing was a part of trying to annihilate us in another way, another type of genocide when we're talking about abortion here. And I think they do that shit because we know, they do that because they know that our numbers are extremely high. They know that they put the Planned Parenthoods strategically in our neighborhoods. It's a strategic thing. It's not something, they know exactly what they're doing. And we have to talk about even back then in those times, the 20s and the 30s, they were sterilizing our women without their permission. They were doing all kinds of stuff. So we have to talk about a system that has been trying to eradicate us through all kinds of means. And this Planned Parenthood thing ain't no different. And I just don't, I'm not feeling the whole, like, I understand like the conditions under which people feel like they may need to get an abortion performed, and I respect that. And I'm not here to tell a woman what she should or should not do under the circumstances in which she has to do it. But when we look at the overarching thing about that, I just feel like it's another genocidal tactic, and they want to keep us going there so they can continue to indirectly eradicate us in that way. And that's my opinion behind that whole thing. And they do want us to pay special attention to it because they know that it's going to wipe away our race. I think like 70 million, if I'm not mistaken. You guys can go look that up. But I believe that that's a fact, that 70 million Black babies have been killed by abortion. So yeah, I think that that's the whole thing. I think they want us to pay attention to it because they want us to continue to do it.
Let's get past me with that one.
Neat, you want to say something?
No, it ain't really nothing else to say about Kamala. It's really not. It's just pointless to me. That's my outlook. It's pointless on even having a conversation for real about. I mean, it's good to. For me, it's just pointless all the way around the board to even think that it's going to be different.
I got you. Stokely, did you want me to?
Did you want me to say something?
Yes, Freedom, of course. We're going to drop the link soon. You guys want to drop the link in like 5 minutes?
Yeah, but okay.
And I just wanted to ask Dulcie, hold on, Freedom. I wanted to ask Dulcie real quickly. Did you want me to share that now, my love? Would you say in the private chat?
No. Let Sister Freedom go, and then we can drop the link in like 5.
Yeah, drop the link in like 5 minutes. We'll be dropping the link in 5 minutes. And outside the cube, relax. Okay? You need to relax.
Okay. Almost forgot. Okay. Now, there's a lot of things with this 2025 thing, Charisse. I don't know if you've been really listening, but it's kind of getting spooky to me. Like I said, I wish somebody else would run because both of them kind of spooky to me. This thing about starting to draft the boys again. Did you hear about that? They're going to open the draft up again. And if you just going to public school, you could be drafted. If you're going to private school, you got a chance that you won't be drafted. Then they trying to drop the minimum wage, that part too. And they trying to, now this is on Donald's thing. And they also trying to do something with Medicare, Medicaid, and trying to lessen Social Security. Now, I think that's wrong. And that's the reason why I have to push back on some things that I was going for that I had to say, what? So this is really, like I said, a weird little situation because believe it, if Trump gets in, he going to make all the things that he talking about, he going to try to put them in. He done the Affordable Act for medicine, and for people that are disabled going to the doctors and things of that nature. He's trying to lessen that. He's trying to stop Affordable Care Act, from my understanding. Now, I don't know why anybody would be for that. So, it's iffy on both sides. Both of them are just a whole scary mess. But what do you think about that, Charisse? What do you think about the draft again? That means you don't have no say so.
that it really concerns me because I have a young child.
Yeah.
So of course, that's an extremely concerning thing. And this country has a history of going to war, invading countries, and doing messed up things. Let's be very clear. We all know this, and I think that they need more young and able bodies out there to do their dirty work.
Yeah.
Via the military, and it's not right, but it's real. And my father's a veteran, and he was in the military. He fought in Desert Storm, and I like you. And I know the things that the military, like that experience, I know when he came home, how it affected him. And I hate to have to, have to witness more young people having to go and risk their lives and then come home to a country who won't even respect them for what they've done.
Mm-hmm. See, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of things I've been hearing, Charisse, and I'm just not, you know what I'm saying? I'm weighing it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying to myself, okay.
But if we vote Kamala in there, guess what? That's something that's going to come to pass.
No,
so,
she's not the one. Trump is the one with that.
Who introduced the draft? Is that this? That's Trump, not this administration.
Is Trump trying to do that?
That's his administration. Oh, okay. I thought that was their administration.
No, it ain't Kamala, honey. She ain't for that. Correct. No, she said we're not going backwards. Because see what he's trying to do, like I said, mess with Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and why would you do that? That don't even make no sense. So what's the elders supposed to do? So I guess he's gonna say, well, let your kids take care of you. And they may be having a hard time. That's something I don't know, Copper Goddess, if the stuff is true or not. I'm just going by things that are being said. I'm not saying that they're true. I'm just saying these are things. That's what I'm saying. We're gonna have to start talking.
Mm-hmm.
We can't, because we still dealing with the city council and the mayor and stuff in our little areas too. But that higher up mess, y'all got to really, really listen to the stuff that was being said. That's being said out here because it's getting kind of scary. And I'm saying,
so Freedom. I looked it up. I'm sorry. They didn't know. He didn't say.
Kamala.
Go ahead, Mama. Sorry.
Kamala Harris's things, like Dulcie said, may not come to pass. But you can best believe if Trump want to do something, it's going to come to pass. If he becomes the president.
Well, I know one thing. If Trump becomes president, listen, my thing is this, right? What a precedent Trump will set, because if he becomes president, then they need to do away with that whole, if you're a felon, you can't vote. If you're a felon, you can't do this, you can't do that, because we got a whole felon who's running for president again. Isn't that interesting? That sends another precedent. Right there. I looked up what you just said, Freedom, about enacting a draft, and it says that I'm looking. Well, on Forbes, it says that he denies any claims that he would back mandatory service in the armed forces. So he's not.
I'm just going by.
I'm reading it. It says that wasn't true.
I don't know. I think that Trump is the type of, me personally, I think that Trump is the type of person that would do that. Personally, I do. Which is how he was not. See, I pay attention to people, okay? And I've seen his kind before in a many of an undone face, okay? How they don't never answer the question and play around stuff. So,
well, he was president for 4 years, and I will say I'll take that stimulus check all day, every day. If he becomes president, the first thing he does is drop another stimulus check. But I think a lot of times, though, you have to be careful with what those things are saying online, because the 2025 is not Trump at all. It's that's where we talked about before. It's a nonpartisan party that is saying what they want to do and changes they want to make. And a lot of times there's these groups that are saying things or whatever. We're tying them on Trump or even tying them on Kamala or anything. But a lot of the stuff, even the wall, he kept saying that, oh, I'm going to build the wall and we're going to stop this. And wasn't no brick put down in Texas between Mexico. I will tell you that. Not a stele, not a pole, nothing.
I'm just saying, I'm only going by the things that I'm hearing.
Funny.
Don't say Sister Freedom said this. I'm only going by things that I'm hearing, okay? as they talking. And I'm like, oh well, you know.
Yeah, no, he said he denied it. It's not true.
I don't know what he said. Rather he said it or
No, I'm
somebody else.
telling you, Freedom. I'm reading it. I'm saying it's not an
Okay.
opinion. Like he denied it. I'm
That's
telling
what
you on
somebody
a thing.
said
It's on
that
an
he
article.
denied, right? They said he denied it, right? He did he say it?
Well, it's written in an article. They also you saying that no, I'm just saying like you said that you heard, and I'm saying I'm reading it on, and then he's saying that he
Oh,
denied it. He did
Kamala
not say that.
Harris
He's
just
not
said
in
it.
favor of it.
Kamala Harris just said that he was. So I don't know. Maybe he's hearing stuff and didn't know. He said, "Oh no, I ain't for it." I don't believe him. I don't believe nothing Trump
I don't
said.
believe her either. I'd rather deal with the devil I know than the devil I don't know. To be quite
Tell
honest,
you,
I think
I'm
that
show me who you are.
that means
Show
you
me.
don't even
Show
give
me.
her
I
a
don't want you
chance. So we gonna
smiling
deal
and
with the
whipping and
devil.
jiving.
So we already know he the devil. So
They both devils. They both
we
devils.
already know he the devil. So we know he gonna mess us up. She haven't even got a chance to be the president. So we
what
know
you
what she gonna do.
mean?
What? What? She is she
Ooh,
the president?
dude.
Is she the president? Has she ever been the president?
She's the vice president. That's good. No, she's the vice president. How about
Oh,
that?
ain't much you can do as a vice president. But I'm just saying, you saying that we gonna deal with, but these are all just opinions. Please, y'all, don't take it to heart because I listen. Both of them is crazy to me. The whole situation is crazy. The fact that she's even running is crazy to me. But at the same time, we're saying Trump is an already known devil. So we just gonna put ourselves in hell. We never even given her a chance.
We seen her work.
Exactly. Look at all
So they're
the
both devils in it. Saying
exactly, California for
I
real.
am not
Look
making
at what
stuff
she
up.
did.
How to make stuff up? I don't know neither person. They don't live with me. How I'm making stuff up? That don't even make sense. I don't know these people. I don't know about what's being said. That don't make sense.
And she a piece of shit. They all a piece of shit.
And so yeah, that's
Oh,
what I'm
my
saying.
bad.
Both of them.
It's not it. Yeah, we you know what, like, can I ask y'all a question?
Go ahead, Sharice.
I think I saw that question on the title. Like, is women, do you ladies feel that women are going to have control of the vote this time? Especially when we're talking about like coming out in mass numbers. Because I've seen her speaking around to all the boule, when I'm talking about the AKAs, the Sigma Gamma Rose. I've seen her, rallying behind, the Divine Nine and all that other stuff. So do you ladies feel like that this is going to be another situation similar, not similar, but like I said, it kind of reminds me of the women's suffrage movement. But now this time, we see a women raising billions of dollars, millions of dollars on behalf of her. So like, do you guys think that this is going to be a huge deciding factor?
Well, I put it, and I think I was kind of being facetious, because what I would say is that Black women are not the deciding factor of power or vote. What they are is the deciding factor that the community will be engaged in these things that have no power. They use us for the face of everything. That's why you got twerking. That's why you got Megan the Stallion, all this other stuff. You got Cardi B being a voice of who's going to be in the politics, because they know it's all a game that they want to get us invested into. And what better way of getting everyone invested into it than going to the Black women that have influence? So I don't believe that it's going to be like, oh, they're the deciding vote. The electoral college is the deciding vote. But what they will do is be able to successfully distract everybody like they do every year.
Yeah, I should have worded that a little better. Go ahead, y'all.
No, I'm just saying we got guests on the panel and we're gonna be nice to and respectful to each other. I mean, everybody has an opinion about this whole thing, like I said, and I'm gonna say it again. Both of them. I wish somebody else was. Let me ask you this, Sharice. What happened to what's his name? Oh my God, the Kennedy brother. What happened to him? Wasn't he running for president?
Yeah, he tapped out
I was
after that
wondering
phone
what
call.
happened to him, and then it was Dulcie. I kept trying to put you back. Something happened. Then it was a brother that was running too, an older brother. What happened to him?
Nah, he was a nephew of Trump. I mean, excuse
No,
me, he
no,
was
no,
a
no, no.
nephew
This
of
is an
Kennedy.
older man. An
Yeah,
older
he was a nephew of
champion.
Kennedy, and he fell out of the race because he wasn't getting enough votes, so he fell out.
No, I'm talking about it was an older brother. It was a brother.
No, it was not. What I'm trying to tell you is
No,
that
I'm
he
not
was
talking
the.
about Kennedy. I'm talking about an
Oh,
older
okay.
man. An older
Are you
man.
talking about Cornell West? You probably
That's
talking
his
about
name.
Cornell West.
That's his name. That's his
Yeah.
name. I don't know why every time I try to put Dulcie, Dulcie, do it yourself.
Now
I don't.
Cornell fell out because Cornell was actually he was running third party, and he was running third party, and him and the leader of the third party actually fell out. I forget her name, because I vote third party.
Who,
I forget
Jill
her name.
Stein?
Yeah, Jill Stein. That's exactly who what
Jill
her name
Stein.
is. They
Yeah.
just recently, about a week ago, Cornel West and Jill Stein fell out. He called her racist, and he fell out. I don't think she's racist. I think that she was just trying to control the party to where she was trying to get things done. When in actuality, Cornel West should have just, in my honest opinion, should have just actually acquiesced to her. Just to show you guys that I don't hate women, he should have actually acquiesced to her because she had the better opinions on where the party should go. And me voting third party, a person like myself, I would have voted for Jill Stein because she's been in that position for the past about 8 years or so, and she has the best ideas. But
Jill Stein.
that's
She
just me.
She's
but
part of the Green Party, but the Green Party's never
No, it's
been.
not. No, 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 not, no, no, no. They're not a communist party. Um, they're actually a communist party, even though they try to say that they aren't, but they actually are. But yeah,
Well, no, I was just saying the name of the party that she's always represented, and she's been the elect for to try to run President
no,
Jill
you're
Stein.
right.
It's
No,
the Green
no,
Party,
no, no, no.
but
I'm telling
it's
you that
not
you're
a.
right.
Yeah, I used to be an advocate as far as for the Green Party, but I knew it's a game still. It's all a
Yeah,
game. So.
that's exactly what it is. I'm telling you that you're right, but they try to move a different way because they don't want to move a certain way because they can't get votes. So they don't want to come out as a communist party, which they actually are. Which I'm a communist myself. So it's unfortunate that this third party, which America doesn't have a third party, but I'm a communist myself. So you're actually right about that 100% when you talk about it.
let me ask you something, Cube. But wasn't it? Just to be clear, because Dr. Chalk might answer this too. Is she a nominee? But is she already in to run for president? Because it was
Yeah,
said so. I'm
she's
talking
the
about
nominee.
Kamala Harris. Kamala, is she already in? Like she's already
Well,
been
I
chosen?
don't think they'll
well,
ever have an
yeah,
official vote, but I think
yeah. The
they just
answer is
treated it
no.
like it.
Yeah, the answer is no, but it's kind of yes. So before you had um, the Republican National Convention that actually happened about 2 weeks ago, Donald Trump was the main character that ran, but he was the main person, but everyone gave him his vote after he got shot at. So it's the same thing with Kamala, is that she's actually what they did was, since they weren't able to find an actual candidate to run, everybody has put their support behind Kamala because when you look at the funds, they weren't able to transfer those funds to anybody else. So now we have to essentially run behind Kamala, which is unfortunate, and it shows the problems in the
Oh, shoot, somebody else.
yeah, it shows the problems that we have in this party, because why should we be forced to run behind Kamala when a lot of leftists like myself, I'm a leftist, and I don't want Kamala. I think that she's the worst candidate possible. But at the same time, what they do is they try to fearmonger, and they try to say, well, if you don't vote for Kamala, then that could be a potential vote for Trump. And that kind of hurts us as a whole with what our country is really trying to do. Because I can look at Kamala and say, well, damn, what are her policies? She has no policy. She has yet
But
to.
they just pushed her in though.
Yeah,
Really?
and that's what yeah, and I'm agreeing with that. She has yet to tell anybody what her policies are, but we have so many black people that are pushing her and saying, "Let's go with Kamala." But what are her policies? No black. You can't ask anyone who's supporting Kamala. You can't ask any person who's supporting Kamala and ask, well, what is her policies? No one can tell you because she has yet to lay them out. And I think it's unfortunate that they did that to. I'm sorry.
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
I'm just gonna say, Copper's Goddess. Try again, please. I keep trying to pull. Dulcie, are you on your computer yet?
No, I'm not. But I think she dropped
I'm
something
using
in the
it.
back.
No, she was in and it popped out. So that's why I was trying to tell her to try. Excuse me, Q. I was trying to tell her to try again because I don't know
Yeah,
why.
yeah.
I
I
did
was
it
saying
four
too,
times though.
if she's not able to get back in, she already dropped something in the chat for us to watch.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
whoever
Go ahead,
that,
Q.
I don't see.
whoever that,
What
si-
were you
whoever
saying?
that, si- whoever that sister or brother whoever that sister or brother is, I hope you can come in so we can converse because I would love to hear, um,
Copper
you
Goddess.
know, what your
Yeah.
God is, what your thoughts are because
Help
you
me
know
too.
I'm a leftist, and I understand where a lot of you guys come from to where you're just like, okay, this, okay, that, but I'm a leftist, and I generally disagree with a lot of you centrists and a lot of the things that you guys say, which is cool and it's fair. It's not a problem with that because, you know, but there was a perfect example. Open the knowledge. He said something in the chat. He was like, "Yo, you're an atheist. You don't believe in anything." But that's actually factually wrong because I believe in 99.9% of the same thing as one of you guys who may be a centrist believe in. I believe that we should have safe places for our children to be. I believe that we should have safe places for our children to eat, think, I believe that we should be a particular way that black people should be able to think for ourselves. So I totally 100% believe that we should even be able to call ourselves, even though I don't believe in the movement with the abos. I still believe that we should have the ability to say so, even though I may shut it down and say, hell nah, Negro, you're not a goddamn whatever. I still think that we should still be able to have those places and spaces to where we can talk about those things. But what Kamala is doing, she's kind of on a different trip because she's really not like us for real. She has a totally different trip. And see, people like to say, okay, well, it's the white man, this is the white man that. She's nothing more than an extension than any white man that you could ever believe. Why isn't she promoting or even potentially looking at a black VP, which could be a man or a woman or a woman? Why isn't she looking at these things? So we can talk to ourselves to the sun come home and say, this is why I was saying some things in the chat because a lot of things that you guys were saying, yeah, it's cool, but at the same time, we have to delve a bit deeper into it because it's like, okay, yeah, she's a woman, okay, but I don't think she's a black woman. But even then, if you want to say she's a black woman, well, let's delve into it. What policies do she have that actually benefit black women? Never mind, let's not even talk about black men because we understand right now that black men, we aren't getting anything out of the deal if Kamala runs. But what do us as black people get out of the deal? She has nothing on her website that tells us what she's doing for black people whatsoever. But if you were to ask her about immigrants, she has this whole thing to where she's laid out to where she can tell us about what she's going to do for immigrant people. But what
Well,
about
$5.2 billion she already donated. I mean, not she, but $5.2 million
right
was already
and
allocated into that Central American Fund,
right
right?
and, and,
Immigrants.
right
Do she
and
have a
that's
vice
what I'm
president
saying.
yet? Did she pick a vice president yet?
Say that again.
Did she pick a vice president yet?
No, because she's not
No,
the
no,
nominee
no,
yet.
no. But the
They
thing
haven't endorsed
is,
her as the
Not
nominee.
official.
but
Yeah.
that's a facade. But hold on, but that's a facade though. We shouldn't even be looking at, or we shouldn't even care if she's picked a vice president. It's because what she's done is she's taken the war chest of all of the money that everybody has donated to President Biden, she's now able to run with those $2 or $3 billion to where now she can just run on anything. Now she can trot out Quavo and Megan Thee Stallion and just say, "Hey, look, black people, look at this. This is what I'm doing." But she has yet to tell us what she's going to do for us. Why is that the case? Why does she has the ability to say, "Oh, you know what, black people just vote for me," but she has yet to say what she's gonna do to us. So when I say the things that when I say the things that I say, and it may sound disrespectful to the people that are listening to it, I'm actually honest about it. What is she going to do for black people? And for some of you Negroes who think that you aren't black, then what the fuck is that? Like, what are you gonna do? How do you feel about her?
Okay. Can I say something?
Well, can I ask him a question real quick before you say something?
Sure.
Can you tell me the actual president, the politician that was provided the best policy for black men, and what was it?
To answer your question succinctly, I want to answer it succinctly. There has never been a president that has ever done anything for black people specifically that wasn't also racist. So this is what we have to do. We have to look at Grover Cleveland to what he said, okay, well, what we're going to do is we're going to start this program for black people, but we're also not going to give them the shit that they deserve when it came to the Homestead Act. When it came to the Homestead Act, we were supposed to get the same thing that white people got. We didn't get it. You can also look at Calvin Coolidge. When we went and fought in the goddamn war to where black people who went and fought for a war for these other white people, these Jews, to now accept and get the same things that other white people get that we didn't get at that time in the 40s and 50s. What they did was they allowed them to get these homes to where black people didn't get. They did it for white people, but didn't do it for us. So it doesn't matter what one single solitary white person did. These other white people didn't do it for us. So it doesn't matter if we sit back here and count peas and chickens and say, well, what did this white person do? Or what did that white person do? That didn't mean anything to us. It didn't mean a hill of beans. Because even if you want to say, even if you want to say, what's his name? He said, "Yo, I'm gonna have these niggas voting Democrat for the rest of the." He said it with the hard ER. He's gonna have these niggas voting Democrat for the rest of their lives, and we did do it. Why? Because what did he allow us to do? He allowed us to get homes here and there and mix with white people. And guess what it did? It did nothing for the greater circumspectly. It did nothing for black people. So it doesn't matter if one president did this or one president did that. It meant nothing for the greater of black people. So it doesn't matter.
Exactly. So that answers your question why Kamala doesn't have to do anything for black people, but do the gimmicks or anything, because none of them do. So when you say as far as the Negroes that don't consider themselves black as if they're a problem, well, how are they stopping you if you see you're already stopped in this thing that you believe in, which is politics? You see it's done nothing for you, but you would go
Very
to
simple.
someone that considers themselves not to be black to say that they're the problem. How is that the bigger problem?
Yeah, no. I know. Number one, I never said it was the bigger problem, but number two, what I did say is that we should rid ourselves of Negroes like you who aren't black, don't claim to be black, because the biggest problem is what they say is, okay, well, if we're gonna give you Negroes some reparations, who's black? This is the main thing. This is the first and foremost thing that they say. Well, who's black? How can we tell who's black? Because you got Negroes who come from Jamaica, we got Negroes who come in all across from the Caribbean. Well, guess what? What we should be able to say as black people is like, nigga, no, you aren't black. We should be able to disenfranchise, get you the F up out of here to where we don't have to look at you. So people like you who want to say that you aren't black, we should be able to throw you to the wolves. Whereas the problem, hold on, let me just finish. The problem that's happening is that white people are saying, well, we don't know who's black. We should be able to tell them exactly, emphatically, who is black and who isn't. You're telling us we understand that you aren't black because you want to be Indian. That's cool. White people don't understand that.
So I just
think
want to
they
make
do.
one thing clear before you jump in. As
Yeah.
far as this, I just want to make it clear. Are you saying that reparations, the talk of reparations, the thing that's holding reparations back is that the fact that black people, like, they have a discussion about who's black, and black people can't define that, and that's why we do not have reparations. I just want to
No,
make that clear. That's what you're saying.
no. You actually missed my point. What I'm trying to elucidate to yourself, I want you to slow down and understand, because I'm not trying to do this in a swift way. I want to slow it down. The reason why white people, they say these things, they say, well, who is black? What you do is you give them a
But it's
reason.
reparations. It's a reparations bill based on that.
But sister, you're missing it. I'm trying to elucidate this to you. What happens is, with people like you who want to claim black on one side, but then on the other side, you want to claim that you've always.
No, I'm not black at all. I'm not claiming black on any side.
Can I finish, or did you just want to interrupt whenever you see fit?
On a long time, I swear to God.
Well, I was just saying because you were saying something, but you never really answered the question, because you brought up reparations, and that's the only reason I had a question about that, because you specifically said with reparations, that's what's stopping us, because there's all these politicians and they're saying, as far as Congress, who's going to be the black people that we give reparations to.
I never said that.
And we should be able to go with all the non-black people, the Caribbean people, the people that don't consider themselves black, the people that aren't, I'm guessing, deserving of the reparations.
I never said that.
And kick them out. Well, you use reparations as a preposition when you were saying that. So
not necessarily. I didn't use it as a preposition. What I use it as a starter for you to understand.
Cube, land your plane in like a minute so that we can.
What you mean land my plane? She just went on for 20 seconds asking me a question.
No, I understand that.
She's the
host of the show. Wait, hold on. I understand. And calm down. She's the host. She's a host, right? So she can do that. I'm just saying, say what you have to say. Land your plane in a minute. So OTK, but I do want to address your point about that black thing. Okay. I just want to be clear about that. And we have Bronze Bird that's up. So just say what you got to say, please. And then OTK can jump in.
Yeah, I'd rather not. I'd rather you guys go ahead and respond to what she said, and then maybe I can come in later, because I don't want to hog the time. I don't want you to think I'm trying to hog the time, but go ahead.
Okay, OTK, jump in, baby.
Oh no, I relinquish my time too. Peace to y'all. Peace to y'all too. I'm gonna let y'all go. And this is ladies' night, man. I just
reclaim your time, Dad.
OTK, I got my switch with me.
TK.
Nah, I am. I just come to say what's up.
All right, so let me say this: since he relinquished his time, and
Bronzeberg,
they said I was.
Bronzeberg, get in real quick, please, and then you can do it. And I want to respond to you, Q, about what you said. Go ahead, Bronzeberg.
Peace to all. I don't know if this is the Aboriginal group. I'm not trying to be funny. I know usually the term is y'all say halito. Can I say that? Is it okay? Yes. Halito?
No, yeah. we don't say halito. I mean, you can say hi, you can say what's up, you can say peace.
Yeah,
peace.
Okay. My fault. I know. It's because the sector. I remember the Aboriginal sector. They used to say halito, so that's why it's from.
They made that up.
Yeah, all right, never mind.
Yeah,
okay,
they made that up.
So okay.
Read us the way you would think.
Yeah. So that's cool. Okay.
What you say, Rob?
No. I was saying because I was in that sector before, so they usually be saying certain terms. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Ain't that sector though, but go ahead. Read us how the way you read us from your sector, so we know who you are.
I'm not. Well, okay. History shown. Well, I have my own page, but sectors that I was in was like manosphere spaces, Aboriginal, black sector spaces primarily for the most part. Black pill, red pill spaces. But I like to branch around different places and stuff like that and have convos. First and foremost, I think this is a dope convo for tonight.
Hopscotcher.
I don't. Yeah, that's me.
You ain't you a hopscotcher.
I just move around, bro. So I wanted to. What's up? Belief about what?
Let him talk.
Wait, belief about what?
Because I want to know where you coming from before you actually quit. My fault. My bad, guys. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, I think you guys. So you guys are talking about the Kamala Harris, the woman president, black woman president, right? Just to be sure.
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. So this is my thought process on what y'all was saying. I said I think I agree a lot with the brother that spoke. The problem that I'm having is that the problem with Black people, or if you define yourself as Negroid or Aboriginal, whatever it is, but still inherently you're still appealing to the Negro audience or whoever it is you're addressing to. I said the problem that I was having is Black people, Negroes, and stuff like that, they usually go by emotion and racial politics. So when I had made this statement and when I have this conversation with family and friends, I always ask, what is the reason why you will be voting for such and such, as well as Kamala Harris? And he said, well, it's very important for a Black woman to be in office. But I say, okay, just like everybody was agreeing tonight, I said, what is the policies? Now, my thing about it is I stood back and watched for 4 years about in the beginning, everybody was just talking about we need to get Trump out of office. I said, okay, now if you're going to say Trump needs to get out of office, if you're going to go with Joe Biden, what is Joe Biden trying to institute? What is he trying to do? And usually the conversations has became, oh, we just need to pick the lesser of two evils. So I compare that to a Coca-Cola and Pepsi type of dynamic in effect, because just like, well, what tastes better? Does Coca-Cola taste better or Pepsi taste better? You know what I'm saying? So my thing about it now with Kamala Harris, I think is very embarrassing. Not just because of the fact of the matter that we're trying to figure out what's our identity, because even if you break down when it comes to Jamaica, Jamaica is just a country. Now, someone's calling themselves Jamaican. You have Indian Jamaicans, which they would probably be defined as coolies if you use the certain terms. And then you have white Jamaican, Asian Jamaican. So just to say that a person is Jamaican, with Kamala Harris, it doesn't hold weight. And then they try to say, oh, because she went to an HBCU. But so what? Even at this time, I understand she went to the HBCUs probably in the 80s. Even at this time, when it comes to HBCUs, they're allowing other nationalities of people to go into their school because the enrollment is going down in these colleges in general, and they still need funding. So my thing about it is when we have a conversation about Kamala Harris, I don't like how Black people are just dropping the ball and making this all about race. And there's whole policies. There's nothing being mentioned, but then they're screwing the ball on these migrants that's coming in, and we're having a serious problem with that. And Kamala Harris hasn't really said anything about it. She let it happen along with Biden and the administration. And we're just sitting here like, you have the nerve to sit up there and have Megan Thee Stallion come on stage and twerk and do all that nonsense. And then you see Quavo, who has the balls to say we're having the first African-American president when she's not African-American. She's not. Just like they tried to claim Obama as African-American. He's not. The point is, when they have these Black president that comes up, and I know it because I see it, because I mean, it's hand selected. Usually if they're going to have a president that's hand selected that's Black, they usually have to be biracial. So that's my viewpoint.
Ladies, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I made a lot of these points earlier, like when I first began to speak. So I'm not sure if these two gentlemen weren't in here when I made a lot of these points. So I'm just confused as to what the contention was for real, especially.
Yeah, it sounds generic as far as I don't know where you came in, Brownsburg, but a lot of these things were said, and we haven't been generically or being like we're just going for Kamala and or any of that. So we definitely talked about the policies and money.
Oh, I just came in.
Yeah, so I was just explaining that part. And then don't mind Cube. Cube just has a personal vendetta that he has to get off all the time because he's here. He knows how important we are, but he has to act like we're less important than we are, even though he's on our panel. He's Cube.
Gonna say
no, I just came in, so I just saw the topic. I just wanted to jump in.
No worries. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I was just wondering because I was like, what the world? Like, I felt like all of us made a lot of good, valid points when we were discussing this, and in terms of how is it going to benefit the people. Like now, if you want to go into whether or not someone identifies as Black or white or whatever, the terminology is the problem here.
Yes.
And what has gotten us in the situations, got us arguing back and forth in the first place, the slave trade situation, all of that.
But do you guys remember like when they? So
I'm sorry,
but that's the thing. So when in terms,
Brownsburg,
oh.
let her finish real quick, bro. God dang. Go ahead, Sister Realist.
Hold on, bro. It wasn't that big of a deal. She actually acquiesced to him.
Nah, but she
Well,
wasn't through.
I was.
hold
Give her
on. Yeah,
time to
let her
stop,
finish.
though. It was that. Y'all chill out.
Yeah.
We
Just one
visited.
second, because
I don't
you
think I
did
did
make
too
a
much.
point to the Pepsi and Coke thing, and I think it really goes to tell as far as what you were saying about the deepness of a conversation. But go ahead, Charisse, finish what you were saying.
No, yeah, I'm about to land it right now. Yeah, so that's the only thing I feel like we've definitely posed every single thing that both of you have stated. And I mean, like I said, maybe you guys just missed that, but we do care about the deeper issue of it all. And I mean, especially me, because when it's all said and done, we can say, oh, we can get on people for what they choose to believe, their ideology. The terminologies that were used has been divisive since the beginning. Okay. So when that when we're saying the Aboriginals, we're talking about our people, the true original Americans. Like, don't ever get it twisted.
Right.
All right.
And I wanted to say to the Pepsi and
Yeah,
Coke
that's
thing, and
nonsense.
as far as you using that analogy to talk about the deepness of a conversation, I think a lot of times people think they're deep and they're not really that deep, because when you're comparing Pepsi to Coke, you're not comparing apple to oranges. When you actually look into the history of Coca-Cola, you look into why our community had a problem with Coca-Cola and went to Pepsi in the first place, because they were putting Coke in Coca-Cola, and
And
they
you
were
know what?
heavily putting that into our community and influence on our men to drink that, and causing a drug epidemic. So a lot of times we want to be like, oh, it's just surface conversations or anything, and I would say that we're actually going deeper into the conversation. If but I know you weren't here, Bronze. I'm not saying this to attack you or anything. I was just saying, because our conversation has been deeper than most conversations, because we're not just sticking at the talking point at the beginning. We're going into the history, which is important. You have to look into all aspects of this, because that's why things are the way that they are.
Right, and you know what? You know what I want to say. Just going forward, um, that is utter nonsense. We shouldn't listen to anything or word that you just said. That's utter nonsense. But if the brother,
So
if
are
the brother,
you?
if the brother wants
Wait,
to, if
hold on, because I want to get in after him.
The problem, I'm telling you, that's the problem with us.
Hold on. Let him finish, y'all. Please let him finish.
Yeah, go ahead and finish, you.
oh yeah, so if the brother wants to converse with that, he surely can, but that is utter nonsense what you just said. None of that makes any sense. It's not capitulatory on anything that we're trying to do. It doesn't make anything better, and quite frankly, it doesn't make anything worse. And I think if that's what you were going for, then okay, but no, none of that makes any
Something
sense
that I
to
missed too,
anyone.
because
But
everything you
who?
said was repeated.
So, is that your subjective
And right
thought?
now,
Wait, who was that addressed to?
Hold
nonsense.
on,
I don't
Bronze.
Oh,
know.
he's talking about me and what I just
He's
said. But
talking to my
Dots is actually
sister.
next. You guys, let Dots say her point.
I'm asking them, is that your subjective thought? Are you going off your subjective thought? And I like how you use them big words to try to
Big
uh
words.
articulate
Big words.
your fucking views, but that
That
don't
don't
help
even
though.
go with
Is
the
that
definition.
personal? Is that subjective? And if it is, then you need to say, I don't believe that, rather than saying nobody should believe that, because that sounds
Right, because he
personal.
can't prove that Coke wasn't put in Coca-Cola. He can't prove how they
Yeah,
used it in the
bro.
community. He can
It
He
only
can't
say
wasn't.
it's
because he
nonsense.
believes in science.
It wasn't. It wasn't that deep.
Listen,
I
listen.
just.
Listen. It's fair to say. It's fair to say, and it's unfortunate that we would have to go here, but it's fair to say if I'm here listening to you, it's fair to say that I'm listening to you, and I think everything that you're saying is a crock of shit. You don't have to believe in it. And
All
it's
right.
fair. It's totally 100% fair. You can say, you know what? I don't believe in what you're saying, Cube, and that's fair. You can say that. I don't have a problem with that. But that's
Thank
the
you.
way that I
Thank
feel.
you. You
If you
said
want to
I just
hold on,
now.
last thing,
You
last
said
thing,
I. So I don't that
last
answers my
thing,
question, bro.
Yeah,
You
so
said
it's
last thing.
I.
subjective. Yeah, you
Hold on,
answer.
last
Hold on,
thing.
Cube. Hold on. You're still gonna
Hold
be
on. Can
on
I
the
just say
panel.
my last thing? Can I?
Let Dots respond. She's been waiting. She actually
Right,
waited for you to
yeah.
even go in and say
Yeah.
something. You answered his question. It is subjective. Go ahead, Dots. Finish what you were saying, and then we'll come back around, Cube.
Okay. Yeah, Cube, I wanted just to respond when you were saying about it's people like you, when you were talking, I guess, about when you was mentioning Dulcie, you said people like you who don't identify themselves as Black as the reason why we are in the situation we're in today. Or am I clear?
Okay.
I summed that up, right?
Yeah. You're 100% correct. Go ahead.
Okay. So what I wanted to say to that is a couple of things. So does Black have any legal standing in any court of law?
To be honest with you, I'm not interested in the
That
people.
wasn't my question. That was a yes or no. So does Black?
So you don't want an answer. You just want me.
It was a yes or no.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure. So you don't want a yes or no. You just want me to tickle your fancy. So the answer would be no. The answer would be no. If you just want me to tickle your fancy, no. The answer would be no.
I wanted you to answer it with the question was a yes or no question. So thank you. You said no, right? So let's be clear. So we already know that Black have absolutely no legal standing in the court of law. Clear about that, okay? Has identifying as Black advanced, promoted, pushed forth any agenda, right? I.e., we'll call it quote unquote reparations or what have you. Has that happened as of yet? The answer is no, right? So
we have to go along with what you said initially, which the answer is no. We have to go with what you said initially.
Q, she's a host, bro. Q out, bro.
Okay.
You gonna get the mic back? She gonna give you the mic back. Trust me.
What is you talking about? I'm agreeing with her. I don't.
Yeah, but let her finish first.
She's asking me a question, and I'm saying yes, she's correct. I don't get what you're trying to do here.
Thank you.
Answer the question before the question getting finished asked.
Okay, so
don't say anything.
When you were saying, thank you, Q, that would be great just for now. Okay, let me just finish my thought.
Okay.
Thank you. So, just to be clear, so I mean, for those in the audience, right? So basically, he said to Dulcie, it's people like you who don't identify as Black, right? That's the problem. So I asked him, well, pretty much, does Black have any legal standing in any court of law? We both agree the answer is no. Right. So, and identifying as Black, I want to know, how has that pushed forth any kind of progress, right? Currently, I ain't talking about in 1960. Currently, it has not, right?
You can't be this slow.
Identifying and listen, to identify as Black, because it is an umbrella term and it's very general. That means that anybody with melanin technically would be Black here in the United States, right? Yeah, so whether or not you were born here, if you have melanin and someone's doing lookership and they're just looking at your physical features and they identify you as Black, but they may come from a different nation, right? They are not American, but technically they're Black according to your term. I just want to put that out there.
Okay, you tell it.
You're still interrupting me, and I'm being very patient, right? I'm being very patient with you. So I'm going to ask you to mute up and not interrupt me again, or you can drop down. That's how we're going to do this. Thank you. So I don't understand how you even started out with that statement, because whether or not Dulcie identifies as Black or not means absolutely nada. Right? And the grand scheme of things, it's an umbrella term that doesn't specify any group of people that have historically been here, right? However, historically, groups of people who have been wronged by our government and have been successful in the court of law is because they specify their ethnicity, right? Their nationality, so to speak. So for example, like when we think of those who have received reparations here in this country, the Japanese, right? They don't say, oh, well, because I have chinky eyes, for example, and I know this sounds crazy, but just go with me here, right? Because I have chinky eyes and I'm from Asia, I'm Asian. No, they identify themselves as Japanese. Why? Because it was the Japanese that was placed in internment camps. Are you following along? Okay, so that's really important to understand. And I think that as we had Judge Joe Brown on our show back last week, right? And he even broke down how the term Black came to be, right? That it was, according to Judge Joe Brown, they created it in the 1960s when they were in college, right? Because they decided that they no longer wanted to be Negro, that calling themselves or people identifying them as Negro was very disrespectful, was akin to calling somebody a nigger. And so they decided in their group that we now will be called black. Okay. So I never understand why, and I wasn't done. So I don't understand why this, maybe it's an emotional attachment, right? But someone saying I am not black, right? Because we know black is not a race, it's not a nationality, it's not an ethnicity, it's nothing, it's a color. And actually it's a term that was created, right, in college, in someone's college and universities in the 1960s. So I don't understand your point and saying that it's people like you, for example, that when you say that you're black, that somehow you're stopping. You tell me, because from 1960 to 2024, okay, we were considered black. How has that worked, Sway? But I bet you one thing, if a person can identify themselves and they can say, I've been here, even before the colonizer was here, I had land, my people had land, and this is what was taken from me specifically. And you can back that up with tax records. You can actually back that up with official documents. You actually have a legal standing in the court of law. Identifying yourself as black has no legal standing in the court of law. So for you to say a statement like that, actually, you said that somebody sounded like a crock of shit. No, baby. No. What you said sounds full of shit. And what you said sounds like you can continue to live in the matrix. You can continue to spew those talking points. But I would prefer anybody to identify themselves by their ethnicity. And I would also give kudos to anyone who's like, well, no, because I am not black, especially if it was something that was created at the university.
Right.
Absolutely not.
Right.
So actually, you are the one that sounds like a crock of shit. You're the one who's full of shit. And you're the one who's still stuck in the box. Now I'm done, and now you can respond.
Okay, well, before Cube starts responding,
hold on. She said thank you. She said she said she was done.
I think it will make it better, your rant that you're about to go on. If
she said thank you. All right, she said thank you. Do you want me to do anything other than that? She said thank you. She said that she wasn't black. Okay. All right, so let me help you, wannabe sister. You aren't black. Good. Thank you so much for telling us that you aren't black. Well, guess what? We don't look at you as black. You're just another ignorant Negro that we don't look at as black. What do you want us to do? Do you want us to look at you and say, oh, maybe she is black, even though she told us that she wasn't? No, you're not black. You're just another ignorant Negro. Oh, maybe she's this. Maybe she's that. No, you just told us that you weren't black.
But wouldn't that be gaslighting?
Hey, listen, who
I don't want to hear this.
Who the fuck is we? Hold up, who is we? Who is we in this conversation?
Wait, one
this girl just told us she wasn't black.
So yeah, but a bunch of them are saying they're not black.
Hold on.
We're saying we though.
Hold on, OTK, hold on. I just want to say listen, to be quite honest with you, and I promise this on my mom, like I am not offended by that statement. I've been called worse by better people, Cube, and that's on my mama. That's number one. Number two, excuse me, see, there you go talking when I'm talking. Thank you. Chill out. What I'm telling you though is how I know that someone has even a level 1 intelligence is, I would say to a person, okay, if you don't identify as whatever, let's say black, what do you identify as? That would be like something, right, to have the conversation. But I don't expect anything more from you, Q, than what you said. So I'm not offended because I mean, truthfully, I've been called worse by better people. Okay. But you can continue.
And I think he can, hold on.
She just told me to continue.
I know, 1 second. I'm going to make it really quick. I always do. It's not going to be long. I think this is proving that the black is just boule. It's just the crock of ish, just like she said, because you could be up here talking about black politics. You could be up here talking about black policy. You could be making us look stupid by actually utilizing black in a way that has solutions for us and being like, see, they're not even solution based, but all you're doing is crying. All you're doing is trying to trigger the people with emotions, everything that both sides of politics do. All you do is play on black people, which is what all you guys have always done. You haven't allowed any solutions. You haven't done anything to actually make people greater, to take people home to their people, to learn about themselves. All you do is cry. All you do is go with these rants that are going to be non-important at the tomorrow, the next day when we have to go to work and we have to live our lives.
Okay. Are you done, or did you have something more you wanted to say? Because I don't
You
want
can
to.
go from here.
Okay. All right. So great. So this woman just sat here and told us that she's not a black woman. She just sat here and told us she's not a black woman.
Proudly.
She just told us she's not black. She's upset with me because I won't agree with her and call her black. This is what she just said. So what you okay, I'm gonna let you go. Go ahead. Somebody else wants to go. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, Charise, did you want to say something?
I just think the energy. Do you have an issue when women are speaking? Like, do you have an issue when women give their opinions or their thoughts, sir?
To the sister that's speaking, sister, I love you. I love everybody that wants to speak. I'm a black male. I love black people, like 100%. But the only thing I want to do is just respond to what she just said. If you have a question for me, I would love, and I implore you to hold that question and just ask me, and I'm totally okay with it. But what she just said, I want to ask her about that. So go ahead and ask your questions. Ask me questions. I'll respond to it. But I do want to ask her questions about what she just said.
Who's her?
The woman that was just talking. The woman that was just talking.
Playing Cube, you know what? I knew this was gonna happen.
Do I not talk? So hold on. So
no, I just thought you were talking to Charise, but you keep saying her, but you're saying you're talking to Charise.
All right, let's move right along.
You want to ask Charise questions? Okay.
Can we move right along, because this is not the cube show.
Let's listen. Okay. So okay.
No,
so let's
can we move right along? We were talking about
politics. Let's talk about it.
OTK, did you want to say anything?
Oh, so now we no longer want to speak. We no longer want to speak.
Ignorance. We don't want the negativity.
Sister, how was I ignorant? The sister asked me something. I was in the middle.
Pretty much are saying.
Sister. I was in the middle of responding.
It's not.
So can I ask a question, Cube?
Hold on. Just to be fair, I was in the middle of responding, and now she's saying she no longer wants to respond to me. What did I do that was wrong?
Negativity by causing.
We just
Bronzeberg. Yes. Can you please? And listen, y'all.
Yeah.
To be utterly clear, and I'm gonna say this again.
Did I do something wrong?
No, you did not, Cube. You're just being yourself, and
So why won't you just respond to my questions?
No, I don't want to, because it's becoming you and me show. Can we move on? Let's move on.
It's like a two-person combo.
Wrong, then why not just respond to what I'm saying?
We're doing the back and forth about who said, she said, you know?
Right. Moving right along.
It's kind of like lackluster.
So I can't say anything at this point. I'm just
we're not saying it's not that though, Q. It's just a fact of the matter. It's like, well, why you can't answer my question? Why you acting like that? It's becoming he said, she said.
What is your question? I can answer it.
Okay. I'm about to ask it to you.
Just go
so
ahead.
I want to ask you this. So I'm not saying in base of dots, right? But I want to know this from you. So a person who decides to say that they are not black, they recognize themselves as aboriginal or anything else than black. Do you define them as ignorant? And if you do define them as ignorant, why?
Bro, listen, I'm gonna tell you something. What I may think just off of my jolly thoughts does not make that a thing. So even though I may look at her and think that she's ignorant, doesn't mean that she is. If she has a realistic thought on how she became and how she came to where she is, that's not incumbent upon me to then talk about her, which I never had the opportunity to do. I've never told her, hey, listen, if you think that you're this, then you must be this. No, I've never said that. That's
I didn't
not.
say you did.
No, listen, but,
All I,
hold on. But what you have to do is listen. I've
I am
never.
listening to you.
Okay, but freeze. I've never told her if you feel that way, then you must be ignorant. I've
I
never
never
said.
said you did.
So
All I
stop
asked,
and
all
listen, brother. Stop
but
and listen,
you're going in a
bro.
circle. You're going in a circle, and I just asked you a simple question. I said I'm
Bro,
not even saying just her. I'm just asking you personally.
let me
Do
tell
you
you one
think that
time.
somebody? Do you think that when someone says that they're not black and they identify themselves as Aboriginal or something other than black, does that make them ignorant? All you have
I
to do is say
I
yes or
literally
no.
just said it, bruh. Just because she may look at herself as one thing does not mean that if I look at her differently, then she's what I think. So
I didn't
no,
say all that.
but hold on, slow
That's
down because
enough.
this.
Enough
That's
is
it. That's all I
enough.
wanted to know is say you said no. So
Humphrey,
that's it. That's all I
yo,
said.
So
Ron,
the answer is no.
Bronsberg,
What
and
Thank
more
can
do
you.
you
you
let it
need?
go so we can move on? We can move on.
That-
You did say
That's
you
all
were
I
ignorant.
wanted to. That's all I wanted to ask him. I'm just
Anyway,
asking if
So the
it's from
answer
his
because
is
don't
perspective
nobody
or
want
it's
to
from
hear.
a governor's perspective.
Goodbye. I'm gonna
Okay.
put you down because I don't want to hear it no more. It's sickening. It's starting to sound like my nephews arguing. It's sickening. He did say she was ignorant, and he did call her
I
a
didn't
nigga.
say that.
You did so, and let it
Yes,
go.
you
Don't
did.
nobody want
Yes,
to
you
keep
did. But it's
going.
okay
You
because I
did.
think, like, that's what I'm saying. I am personally not offended. Can we move along? Can we move right along? Can we continue this conversation? Um, do y'all want? I had something pulled up. Hold on. That when we were talking
Bad
about,
Andre,
okay,
are you
back to
coming up?
Trump. Here we go. Can you share this, Freedom, real quick?
This is why we can't get nowhere.
And
Because
all
they
are
just
welcome
make
to
up
hit
stuff.
the link.
We're not getting anywhere because people want to stay not getting anywhere. They want to distract real conversations when people could be talking about things that actually they want to distract the conversation, and that's going to keep you going in circles and not going anywhere.
Like at all.
Okay.
Moving right along, Dots.
Okay, thank you. Love it. So this was when we were talking about the Trump plan, right? And this is what he had ran on when he was president, right? These were his plan, right, to address black people, quote unquote. Okay, and if you guys remember, he called it the Platinum Plan. All right, and they have four pillars, right? Opportunity. I don't know if y'all can see it, but it says opportunity, security, prosperity, and fairness. Okay, so hold on. His goal was under the Black economic empowerment and access to capital. Damn it. His goal was to get infrastructure funding that will lead to widespread growth, right? In the annual $500 billion federal contracting opportunities, grow minority-owned businesses with additional tax cuts to stimulate hiring and investment. Pardon me. Increase activity in opportunity zones, including benefits for local hires. I'll move right along. Then in terms of healthcare, right? His goal was to reduce costs and improve access to quality healthcare through HRSA. Let's see, have the opportunity to be in charge of your own healthcare provider and choose your own doctor. If you guys remember before, where under Obamacare, I believe it was something to where you couldn't choose your own healthcare provider. That, if you remember, when he was running for president, that was something that he really was trying to emphasize. Where now people will have the opportunity to choose their own, doctor. Okay. Let's see, investing in the causes and the cures of kidney disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, sickle cell anemia, maternal mortality. Let's see what else. In terms of education, he was really big on, I don't know where you guys live, but I know like in New York City, especially, that whole idea of like parents being able to choose where their child attends school. Like it wasn't so much because you're in the zip code, that's the school that you have to go to. So giving parents more freedom and opportunity, right, to select schools that's maybe outside of their district, or what have you. Increase childcare, tax credits, and provide greater access for preschool and education that African Americans can afford. And up here, it tells you how much money, pardon me, let me see if you guys can see it. So his goal was at a minimum of 3 million new jobs just for black communities, creating 500,000 new black-owned businesses, increasing access to capital in black communities by almost 500 billion. I wanted to share that because I know that I've heard a lot of people say, especially if you do have a small business, if you are an entrepreneur, a lot of people have said that under Trump, they were making money, right? That there were more grants, for example, that they had access to. They were able to get small business loans that they weren't able to do prior. A lot of people speak to that. Have you guys, or do you guys remember any of that? Like, do you see a difference from when Trump was president, specifically dealing with economics, specifically dealing with those who are entrepreneurs and have small businesses versus the Harris-Biden administration?
Yeah.
Have you guys?
I thought that everything went up during Trump's time being the president because it was around COVID. And everything went up and people was losing their jobs because of COVID. And this is the same president that kept coming on saying, we got this under control. This ain't that, and this ain't this, that, and another. And thousands of people was dying. This is the same person we talk about Trump.
Well, I can say financially, I was doing better. I was doing
I'm
way better under
I don't
Trump.
know. Maybe you was, but I know it was during COVID and things was going up like crazy. It just did. I'm just keeping it 100. It did in Delaware.
Our eggs was under Biden and them.
Eggs went up to $5. I was like, what is going on?
It's 7 now. Yeah, it's 7 to 12, and sometimes it's even more than that.
It went down here. I don't even know what was going on with the egg thing. That was crazy. Now we got to bring our bags to the grocery store. It's so sick. Now a lot of stuff doesn't happen and change, but all that stuff you just read, I don't know. Did that happen? I don't know.
And that's the platinum plan, correct? That's the plan that on behalf of Ice Cube, right?
Yes.
And how many pages was that? That was about 7 pages that you.
Not even. It was like maybe 2 or 3.
I don't know. During COVID, things went up and people was losing their jobs. I couldn't believe it. How did it go up? A popsicle went from 25 cents to $3.
Hold up, Sister Fruit. I just want to be clear. So you feel like it's better right now under Joe Biden and Kamala than it was.
It just stemmed from that and just kept getting worse.
I think from an immigration standpoint, we were better under Trump.
Yeah,
immigration. He stopped something from happening. Just like Dosey said, she didn't even see a toothpick bill. What was he doing with immigration? He had all them people staying in that room or whatever.
I'm not saying that type of treatment is okay, but as far as like the way we're seeing it now,
is Trump an immigrant? Oh, okay, that part.
Yeah, I would say as far as the immigration, where it's different is under Trump, there would be no Ukraine getting to move here. There would be no actively looking for foreigners to come here. There wasn't that, but it is still, the foreign thing is still a thing.
That's crazy. An immigrant stopping immigrants from coming in. Invader.
They treat people that were born in this country. So they treat people who were born in this
country. Let me ask y'all a question. What do y'all call an immigrant when you have a country that's joined together?
What you mean? Explain that.
What y'all mean? What I mean?
Like the United States, as far as it, and
Canada,
since it's a bunch of countries, I think that's where a lot of people are. I would say of the part that I agree with Republicans, that they kind of get a lot of pushback for, which is that the states should have the power. The states are a country, and yes, they should have the power to maintain themselves and not have a federal government coming over them and saying, we get to veto this because you're the United Countries and all this other stuff. But I get what you're saying, because technically these states are countries if they were in any other continent, and you would be immigrating from Texas to Florida.
Is Mexico a part of the United States?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. It was.
It's all part of America though.
America, a part of America, because
It's part of North America to be exact.
America, Mexico, Canada, United States.
So now, when I'm saying when I go across the border, if I go across the border to Canada, which is connected to the United States, am I an immigrant, or is that still my land?
That's what he's saying.
No, you're an immigrant. You're not Canadian.
You be an immigrant. You're not from Canada.
No. I'm from North America though. So this is the thing. So an immigrant is state to state. So y'all saying an immigrant is one person coming from one state into the next?
Well, at the basis of migrating, you're just migrating, and that's what like an immigrant is based on.
That's an e-migrant. Yeah, that's an e-migrant then. Yeah,
right.
Okay.
But like an immigrant, no, it's based on. Now it's based on the country lines, like people are saying. If you go into Mexico, you can't just go into Mexico. You can't just go into Canada. It doesn't mean if it's connected. If it's declared its own government, you would have to go through the immigration because they're foreign to your government.
But see, all of that came because of the military, because of government. One time back, you could have walked in any place you wanted to go. Especially during draft time. Remember, everybody ran to Canada to dodge the draft, supposedly. Remember all those people that ran to Canada to dodge the draft? Was they considered immigrants, or was they considered nationalists? Because they was in America still.
I see what you're saying geographically, but no, and that's a great conversation to have, right? Like, in terms of borders and how we identify, this region from this region, or this country from that country. You know what I'm saying? And even when you think of a Mexico, a lot of Mexicans often will say that, right? Like, well, actually, technically, this is my land. This was once Mexico. Like, parts of the South. Correct. This was once Mexico. Why should we not be allowed to travel freely into the United States, for example? You know what I mean? Yeah, but borders are borders. Borders are borders.
Yeah, I always like to look at it in context of when we talk about specific plights, if you will, right? Like, we know that we have a special story here in the States, and we've been here since been here. And I think that, like, when we discuss politics and we talk about all the things that's going on in this country, like I said, y'all, I just hate to see us at the bottom like this when these types of things is going on. And then I don't know, I just feel like we just be ready to rally behind anything that sound good and anything that seems good. Like I said earlier, just without asking for the correct tangibles and us putting out the right information. Like, the platinum plan is one thing, but we should have had many documents way before that to establish the things that need to be established for us if we're going to operate within the confines of the United States and how it works with the legal system and everything like that. So yeah, like, I just always feel like this stuff gets tricky a lot of times, man. And I don't know, y'all. I just be at a crossroads with a lot of stuff, and I be just feeling like I don't know what the heck we gonna do, like, for real. Because like I said, I just think the immigration thing is a huge issue. Because I live in DC, and they be in groups. They are deep, and it shouldn't be this way. It shouldn't be this way. And, I've seen so many stories about them building in New York, especially building apartment complexes in Chicago, building up buildings for these people to be able to come and dwell, where we got people who've been on the housing list for 10, 12, 13, 14 years. Okay. To me, it's just not adding up. And like I said, we've been here, and I think our heritage and everything has to count for something. It has to, and I don't think that it's really counting like it should when illegal people can come over here and basically almost I hate to say take our place. I don't want to say that, but yeah, it's just, I can see that beginning to shift, and it's not right. So that's all I'm saying. And I think that we need a better person who's going to come in and stop that from happening. Like, they've let this occur. Okay. And I've seen the videos of them just come on in. Getting
Because
too it's
they're
not
gonna
right.
identify as white when they get here. So I mean, it's business.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
it
it's
ain't
and
nothing, and it
yeah,
ain't
I'll
nothing new.
cut it.
And Sister Cerise, it ain't nothing new. After
Yeah.
every war, let me ask you this. The whole 5 points of New York was American Indians until what? A bunch of immigrants came through that port. And then they started warring about who had what. Now today are they called immigrants or are they called native New Yorkers? They are immigrants. This shit been going on.
Yeah, and
Yes.
they don't have any origins in the Americas. So
None.
the
Peace,
difference.
Been
Irvin.
going
What
on.
up? What up?
None. It's been
Yeah.
going
So
on.
an immigrant is anybody who doesn't have any origins in the Americas. Now, because we have these borders, we can make it relative to your present region of the Americas. So if you're a Boricua, then you're indigenous to that specific region, and so forth and so on. Now, I do want to emphasize this because this is something that's been passed on throughout history, especially in Texas, right? Because we get this
That's classic.
misconception that we get this misconception that Texas, right, is a Spanish word, right? So Texas, the word Texas is Texas. It comes from a cattle word. It's an indigenous word, and Tejas is the Spanish rendition of that indigenous word. So now, the reason why I'm saying that is to go here, because when Mexicans or anybody else tries to say, well, Texas, California, all that was Mexico, that's not indigenous. That the Spanish did that. The Spanish extended those borders and called it Mexico. We never called that land Mexico, and those borders were not there. So even when the Mexicans or anybody else tries to say that to justify, their place here, right? That's illegitimate because those borders of what defined Mexico was done by foreigners, by Spanish.
Okay, so that means the people that's in Texas are the same people in Mexico, correct? Or California are the people that's in Mexico, correct?
I'm not saying that they don't have a connection. I'm just saying that when they say that this is Mexico or that the means that they're going to justify their status is illegitimate because none
Oh
of
no.
those borders did not exist. And what was outlined as Mexico was done by the Spanish. So even when you take Texas, um, Arizona, New Mexico, California, Utah, Nevada, all of them places where they extended the Mexican border, so to say, all of that was not that's non-indigenous. Those borders were extended by the Spanish, who are not indigenous to the Americas.
So what happened to the people that was there?
They amalgamated. Most of them, we know many of them are Filipino. Many of them are Chinos. They're later. They're foreigners who came earlier than some of them than many of the recent foreigners. Nevertheless, they're not original. They've been here longer than the recent immigrants, than the recent foreigners, but they're not original.
Bet. My G. Appreciate that. My G. Always.
Already, bro.
How right, but however, irregardless of what it was called, whether it was called Mexico before Mexico, the Spanish identified it as New Spain, right? Like whatever, and laying that boundary down, the borders down, right? That now that delineates, okay, this is now American territory versus this is now Mexican territory. Do you think that they haven't? But is that a valid argument, right, for them to say, well, you know what? Technically, I am not. Right? I am not a foreigner. Technically, I am not. I should not be considered illegal
It's a valid
because this
argument.
was all once. You know what I mean? Like, do you think that's a valid? Is that a valid argument?
It's a valid argument if they're talking to somebody who unaware. They can't run that shit on me. And anybody else who knows their status and who knows that, they would have to trace themselves back to a group of people, because there was no Mexico. If we talking indigenous, there was no Mexico. That's like if a Lumbee trying to talk to me about something. Lumbee is made up. I'm a pro at it.
It's like there's no such thing. Right. I see what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I completely understand. I wanted some. This is what the video that Copper Goddess had. Copper Goddess, I believe it was that shared when we were talking about the healthcare. I think Freedom, you mentioned that in terms of Trump's stance, right, with healthcare and the elderly. So it's only, I think, 22 seconds long. I believe it's not long at all. Hold on, let me play it for you guys. 1 second. Okay, here we go.
I'm going to destroy your Social Security, but I will not cut 1 cent from Social Security or Medicare. And I kept my promise for 4 years that I will keep it again. And seniors should not pay taxes on Social Security. And they won't. They won't.
Okay, so that was his response to whether.
Hey, real quick, can I say something real quick? I seen a question. One African nation. Number one, you need to talk to your family or your genealogy per record if you are from the Americas. And then what you would do is you find your tribal origins, whatever you're getting from your family, you can take that as the base of your research. And now you're doing the extensive research. Now you research the tribes, and you'll see who was here. That's how you can prove who was here first.
So that, I mean, I'm sorry, Dulcie. Go ahead.
No, go.
No, I was going to ask. So, Urban Engine, are you voting for during this election? And what are your thoughts on the candidates?
Of course, it's a shit show. I vowed years ago that the Democrats will never get another piece of my vote ever until they come out, and would make some promises on behalf of what needs to be done for the people. So I've been peep game on the pandering bullshit. I'm over it. And anybody else who was surprised by it now, then that's what you get. You should have woke your ass up years ago. This is not new. So they'll never get my vote. And I see all the methods that they use. So they don't stand a chance with me. In terms of who I'm voting for, there's a couple of options. Of course, there's the Orange Man, and then there's Cornel West. That's if I decide to partake in it. My thing here, my game is us. Getting in touch with who you are. More people need to be finding out who they are, touching bases with their family, and discovering their lineage. Because all of this, you voting as a black person, it don't mean shit if you identifying as black. There is no foundation in that. Cube was on here earlier, whatever his name is. That black is a figment of your imagination. It literally is just it's the lowest class of this colonial system, and it means nothing. And if you look at how these statuses are worded, it's the only group that does not trace back to any original people of any land.
And you answered my question because that was my follow-up. I was going to say, what do you think to Cube's point when he was saying that?
Yeah, he's like he said it. He said it. If I feel, he's emotionally based. So he's not even considering the logic and seeping through the bullshit to be able to understand what's really at hand. He's just basing on how he feels. But if you get out of his feelings and sit down and actually look at these racial classifications lined up, stacked up against one another, he would notice all of them have one commonality, and that is the fact that they all trace back to an original people of a land, except Black or African American. It just says having racial origins in Africa. So that means you can have a great grandfather that's from Africa, and you've been casted into this system because you have racial origins there. No different than somebody would have racial origins, origins in Scotland or something like that, or it might be Spanish or Italian down the line, but that doesn't make up the base of what your line is. So it's just acknowledging that you have an admixture, and it's taking your admixture to mean more than your actual lineage.
Right, I wanted to say, Dots, if you could, sorry, Urban, and you can finish. If you could, just bring up the second one, the Black HR. So I want to get into what Urban is saying with this Congress website. Go ahead, Urban.
Go ahead, Urban. Urban was going in.
I just say he cooking.
Just saying, if I'm gonna just close it out. For anybody, if they just get out their emotions, there's so much baggage and emotional trauma packed in with Black.
Yes.
They made you hate it, and then they put you in a position where you had only that to love. But if you go back to the 1900s and you tie it to your genealogy and you talk to your grandparents, your great great grandparents, my grandmother is still alive. She was born in 1933. She was not Black. She was colored. And during that time frame, if you would call one of them Black, that was an insult. Because who is Black? You know what I'm saying? That we're brown. Like it don't.
Exactly.
Like five-year-olds know this. Like we
Ridiculous.
5-year-olds know this, and we sitting up here talking to grown ass people about this, and they holding on to this, and they'll literally sit up here and tell you that they got black skin.
Yep. I agree. Listen, we are in full agreement. He may not. Yeah. That. I mean. Yep. Pretty much. I agree. Same thing. I didn't. So that. But those are the talking points, right? Like, and maybe he thought he was doing something by saying that. Like, it's people like you when he was addressing Dosey, and now, I don't consider yourself like boy, have some receipts. And then when you think about standing up to them again,
Hold on, real quick. I just saw this real quick.
Go ahead.
One African nation. This how I know you haven't attempted to do your genealogy. If you you would find records, and you will be able to find 100 years ago. Is not that long ago, brother or sister, whoever you are. It's 2024. That's 1924. I got my great great grandmothers and great great grandfathers that were born in 1880, 1870. That's more than 100 years ago. So what are you talking about? Get out your emotions. Get out your feelings. Don't nobody give a fuck about how you feel. That's the reason why we're in this predicament now.
That's right. And Bad Hombre, hit the link. Stop being funny. You asked for a link 10,000 times and you still haven't
Right,
hit
and
it.
you don't click it because he's scared. But that's fine. He say you want the smoke, but stop dropping it. Stop dropping it for him. This is his last chance, last call for alcohol. If you gonna come up, you come up now. We ain't dropping the link for you no more.
And colored, colored is a difference. Colored is a difference because it puts you on that path, and you can follow the paper trail, because you'll see that Indians were misclassified, and colored was the first designation. It was one of the first early designations on a collective scale.
But Urban, why wouldn't it bother them that we got all these different classifications? This one people, they all got Negro, colored, Afro-American, Black. That don't bother people that we got all these different names.
They just, like I said, with each generation, man, they find a way to cling on to a new identity. They as with integration, that's the issue. We've accepted too many different ideologies. We've been educated by these people. People have done their best to take the education they get from these people and fit in their society. Just like right now, I ain't never seen niggas become as worldly as they have been in the past 10, 15 years. Like, we ain't never been on that. Look how many people have accepted what the Democrats have. Church going people, like people that they grew up in the church, grew up conservative their whole life. But because they've wrapped your identity into whatever their agenda is, you have become emotionally attached to your identity, which is attached to their agenda. They using your black ass to push LGBT. They trying to put they making it seem like these people on the same par with you. I don't know any of them people that have ever had to ride at the back of the bus or drink a separate water fountain or live in a certain area. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like
I'm afraid of with Kamala is that. That's it. I'm scared of that with her. She gonna let a lot of stuff happen just because. And as a woman, she should be against any man coming in the bathroom with another woman and all that kind of stuff. She should be against that kind of stuff.
That's what I'm saying. It's like common logic. This, they create these straw man arguments. This argument over the bathroom, right? On who should be able to use a bathroom. Like, we ain't never grow up. Nobody ever grew up and seen a bathroom that was a unisex bathroom. They made a stupid argument just to tap into people's emotions. Plenty of restaurants, establishments, juke joints, mom and pop shops, all of that have had just a solo restroom where either a man or a woman can go into it. But they created this straw man argument about if a person who has has a sex change, what bathroom do they get to go into?
And the thing is, we got to pacify their feelings. So you
Exactly.
going in a woman's bathroom just because you don't want to you don't want to be embarrassed, or I mean, you really want us to live live with you. I don't know what it is. What you need to know you a man and you gotta go in a woman's bathroom. You got to do everything with a woman. It's just crazy. You're going to wrestle with her, get in the ring with her, do things that you know a man is. I don't care how big your boobs get from taking them pills. You still a man with the strength of a man. You still, it just don't make no sense. They are actually letting women get in those women get into sport things with the trans.
Like boxing.
To me, Kamala should be against that kind of stuff. She should
And
be.
the people, yeah, the people. You would think that the people who support her, who have been historically the some of the most conservative people with the most conservative values, they would call the Democrats out on that.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not. You would think that the church would be standing against that.
Well, they get in trouble, they get sued and all kinds of stuff. They try to fight against it. Then see, because it's almost like trans can say whatever they want to say to you, but you can't say nothing back to them. You say something to them, they can put lawsuits on you, help make you lose your job, or make you lose your things that you got. It don't make no sense. So that's the
Yeah,
reason. I mean, you think really in any type of church they want to marry two men together or two women? I don't think in churches they really want to do that, but they have no other choice.
well, that just that shows the lack of integrity, because as a man, you always have a choice. But if you're gonna choose money, as your choice, if that's gonna be your choice, you have no integrity. And that's what they holding on to, that 501c3. So I don't excuse them at all. They're not backed into no corner. They got nuts just like any other man out here. They just don't use them.
They can lose their church, they can lose their license, all because they didn't go along with the diploma.
Well, if they was really into what they preach, they know that the church is the body. And you know what I'm saying? Like, the material component of that structure is a small thing. And they wouldn't allow that to get in the way of them spreading whatever message they feel like is benefiting the people in the name of, Jesus or whatever. But they not really about that life. They claim to serve a Messiah who rode into Jerusalem on mules. You know what I'm saying? But they be in the pulpit preaching about prosperity with and acquiring all kind of money. The only kind of blessing you can get is one that comes from money. So that's just a reflection of the lack of the values that we have, or that they have been putting off on the people.
That's true.
And then I want to say this about Kamala. I live in DFW, and man, the past 10 years or the past 5 years alone, I've seen the overwhelming amount of Hindus who have moved over here. I'm talking about they deep. They come over here and they got access to shit that we couldn't even fathom having right now. They got grocery stores, they got multiple strip malls, and I can take you across 5 suburbs in the northern part of the metropolitan, whether it be Louisville, Irving, or even more than 5. Louisville, Irving, Frisco, Little Elm, McKinney, all of these places, you can find Hindus in shopping in all kind of strip malls, and not and again, as I stated, they have all,
Delaware.
yeah, they coming over here. They got franchises. They done bought into franchises. Where they getting this money from? Where they getting all of this from? They coming over here doing well. They're not coming. They coming over here. They're not in need of anything. They have everything that they need. They step foot on this soil in the first week, and they doing better than somebody who been here, 30 years of their life.
They own all the hotels here, the 7-Elevens, Dunkin' Donuts. All it's just unbelievable. Even the gas stations that sell the fried chicken and all that kind of stuff, the Hindus own it. It's unreal. Cherise, you know where you live at, Cherise. You know they own it.
Absolutely. I know mostly every corner store, that is in urban, what they would consider urban neighborhood, is definitely owned by
stores,
or someone like that. And he's 100% correct. And I think that's my biggest issue behind all of the stuff that's going on, because we see people being able to come in and, like I was stating earlier, get more money than women that are on welfare and receiving food stamps. Like, you getting a free scooter. I mean, all kinds of stuff is going on. I'm like, where are you getting all of these scooters?
Trump said they taking black jobs. Trump said they're taking your black jobs.
Look at him, girl. Look. I mean, he can work.
Wait a minute, though. Wait a minute, the Mexicans own all the McDonald's. They own all the McDonald's. The Mexicans got all the McDonald's.
And shoot, I mean,
and Wendy's.
And from any context, though, Sister Freedom, honestly, because even me just graduating this year, my university is a HBCU, the only one in DC that would be considered a HBCU. And I will say that it was a huge immigrant presence, huge. And I was so stunned. And I know I would say that the tuition is not an expensive tuition, but I can guarantee you they not paying. They ain't paying. They not paying.
You think they're going for free?
Oh, yes. Yes. Absolutely. And, these conversations come up all the time when I was in the classroom setting, and, with my mindset around who we truly are as a people, a lot of times I find myself in situations where I've had to really push back on conversations, because it's like, you hear someone that's not from here speak on your plight and speak on your issues. I didn't realize how offended I would be, because they would make comments like, well, they think everyone that's black should just get reparations, and that's what it should be, because technically aren't African Americans immigrants too? These kind of conversations.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, this happens. And I've had to say, no, so-called Black Americans have been in this country since the beginning, since before it was America, way before that. And I think that history gets lost when more of them continue to come in and being taught about who we are. And then they can look at us a certain way. And I don't know, I can see the mindset, what they're being taught to think and believe. So
right on. Hey, right on. Let me add something to that too, Cherise.
Wait a minute, can I say one thing? Wait a minute, I'll list this one thought. All the health store, the health companies, how they usually have us, like work, if you work in collections, or if you work in like you telling somebody about health insurance and paying the bill. All them Chinese now. You'll understand the thing they say. They actually are taking the jobs from the Americans and giving them to the Chinese people, and laying the Americans off those jobs. And when you call into the jobs, they all Chinese. Even the cable companies and all of that, they giving the overseas people. But the thing is, Trump is saying he's not letting immigrants in, but they still getting in through jobs and things like over the phone and stuff like that. It's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable to me. It's crazy.
Peace. Yeah, all the recruiters now are basically Hindus. All the IT people, like all of this. Now I was gonna say, now terms of like with the Mexicans, right now, we have more of a history with them, you know, whether it be in Mexico or up here. However, if we're gonna have a revolving door for them based on them being indigenous, that shit need to work both ways. Because many of us come out the Yucatan as well, right? So we need to be able to go over there and buy land as well. We need
Right.
to be able to go over there and do the same shit that they doing over here. If they want to use that as a you know the reason why they should be allowed to come over here, you know, legally or without any type of documentation. Nah, extend that the same courtesy that we extend y'all on the border because we got origins over there in the Yucatan.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
That's what I'm saying. If we on this indigenous bill, man, keep it indigenous. Don't fold on that because that's where our strength comes from, and that's the reason why we're empowered and we're able to sit up here and refute some of the bullshit. A lot of people, the people who are not seeing life through an indigenous lens, they're having a hard time right now. They still holding on to black. They still holding on to that abyss as if it means something. You arguing over, you know, whether or not Kamala Harris considers herself black. Ain't nobody black technically, and the fact that
Okay.
you know you sitting up here trying to put yourself in this box, in that box, and drag her in that box with you, it shows that we're not progressing. So no, technically she's not black, but technically we're not black. Like
It's fact. You ain't said nothing but the truth.
Right.
Everything is true.
All right, y'all. Let me get on what's on the screen so we can take it down. But so if you scroll up, you'll see from the website that this is. But you can see this is a bill. This is SH. I think I can't see on top or anything, but I think it was 80. And but you can look it up. It's a proposal. Okay, SH 40. It's a proposal what they had as far as uh, preparing a team or a committee to study and develop reparation proposals. So they established a bill to set up a commission, and the commission would complete documentary evidence of slavery in the United States. They would look into having some going into some information about African Americans, where they came from, and different things like this. And this was all supposedly to be like, okay, let's make some sustainable ideas as far as for reparations. This is something that was passed. You can see as far as if you go to bill summaries, they'll give you all the dates as far as where it is, and you know it's passed by being a bill. And then basically, this is something I've said about people not knowing that this committee made millions of dollars and the surplus of $12 million to do this. And they kind of just ended. We hear certain things happening in Illinois, certain trickles of things that may happen in California. But basically, this committee has been undeveloped other than I think they're giving to documentaries, they're given to more of the media aspect, but are they really talking about reparations? I don't think so. But if you scroll up where it says search and you put in black people, it will bring all the bills that address all the legislation that addresses black people. And you guys can look for yourself like when they're addressing black people in Congress, all the ones that actually have been fully resolved, they are addressing stuff that has nothing to do with change. It's about, oh, educate, let's do this documentary, let's let's make sure people know about this event and make a day of it.
I was about to say that, Dolby.
Like what?
Boss,
They
Are
don't
you
do
on your
nothing that
computer
actually
still? Are you on the
applies
phone or
to
your
actual
computer?
helping us.
Y'all
we
still on
Peace.
the
stupid.
computer? Y'all say you on the computer?
No, I'm not.
You gonna get on? Let's
Not
see.
this second.
Huh?
I can't get on this second. I'm not home.
Okay.
Peace to the panel.
Peace.
How
But
y'all
yeah,
ladies
that's what
doing?
I was saying about this. And then if you want to have question about bills, it's important that you're not reading bills or what people are saying as far as politicians and taking those like, oh, they did that or he did this one bill. You should come here, find the bill that they're saying and see where it is, see what's happening with it. It will say if it's just been introduced. You'll see anything that's productive that will help us has only been introduced to the house. It hasn't even been introduced to the Senate yet. So it will tell you what step that the bill is on, what they're planning on doing, or if they're not doing anything. And you'll see when they're addressing us, it's nothing that's going to be productive. It's nothing about practical solutions to our everyday life. It's building documentaries, it's making days, it's all appeasement and trinkets, as Nisha said.
Yeah. And it does say that it's all the resolutions. It says it's basically they all start out with expressing support, right? So all the resolutions, like when you said putting black people, I did, and the resolutions come up. It says a resolution expressing support, recognizing that the United States has a moral and legal obligation. So you're right; it's nothing specific, right? It's like these basic resolutions. That's all. Who's that's trying to come on and speak? We're sorry. Let me stop sharing the screen. And welcome to the show. Hi, Rashad. Did I pronounce your name right? Rashid. Rashad Maliko.
And of course, Charisse, I think Charisse said
Yes, she
she's going
stepped
to share
away.
her screen too. But
Okay.
Rashid, right after Rashid, will share that. Charisse.
Oh, awesome. No worries.
Going once, going twice. Rashid.
Yeah, Malik L. Peace.
Can y'all hear my voice now? My mic probably
Yeah,
wasn't on.
okay, yeah, we hear you now.
Oh, peace to the panel, to the queens.
Peace.
Welcome
What's
to the
up?
show.
Yeah, and I just wanted to preface by saying you were pronouncing the name correctly. No, with the accent and everything, it was done correctly.
Well, which one of them girls got an accent?
You have the floor. You have the floor.
I just wanted to add and
Your phone keep going out, Rashid.
not again. Am I
Okay, go
am I
ahead.
clear?
Yeah, we got you now.
Okay. I when I chimed in, I heard y'all, the gentleman he was mentioning something specific, the immigration,
Mm-hmm.
the brother down south,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to add to that, and I wanted to know: have you ladies ever visited an actual law library?
I have.
And did you get an opportunity to get privy yourself to what immigration has listed there?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, that's a very interesting section of information to look through because it specifically talks about not the women. Immigration deals with having the men categorized under immigration, and also I heard the guy mention something specifically pertaining to the jurisdiction and the designation of Mexico and Canada. Am I correct there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been to the Caribbean, and what I noticed as far as how they have this jurisdictional designation, and I've been asking questions. A lot of people have been saying that when they first went down there to the either the Caribbean or Mexico specifically, that they just went through. They never actually stopped at the border. They just were like, if you're on the California side, you could just drive straight down, straight through, no hindrance there. And I had a family member just recently come back and forth with no hindrance because of who he knows there.
When you say no hindrance, what do you mean? Like, did they have to show their passport?
No,
Okay, is that okay? That's
That
a
was
new.
on the California side, right?
no, he actually went straight down, probably through Texas.
Are you sure he went through Texas? I know I've heard about the California side where they can they can get past over there, but I've never heard any of that with the Texas side.
Yeah, they actually did a little presentation with an indigenous man down in New Mexico. Not too long ago on CNN. He was showing you where the quote unquote where they had like the barbed wire and the little fence at. He was like, yeah, this where The border thing
So
stops at.
so then that would be like that's like one off, right? But on our side, we got whole families and a mass group of people doing this all at once, and then coming over here and getting validated. I don't know that we could go over there in the same droves of numbers that they do come over here.
I mean, if we attempt and we just try, and the people just stop being scared.
I'm with Urban on this. I'm in Texas, and I don't know about that of being like stop being scared because,
This is
like,
what I'm
even
saying.
even the people that like get in a little bit of trouble in Mexico, they ain't the same. You don't want to get nah. And what would you be going as far as sneaking into Mexico for? As far as it, I would say don't take the chance. Um, you don't want to take the chance
But
with the
it's
Mexican government. They not our government.
yeah, I hear you, because what I heard again from different people and asking specific questions is from the Caribbean people too. They actually have something set up where the Jamaicans come back and forth based on this whole thing of what they're using the immigrants to saying, like they'll come here and do their little work if they're working on the farm, and then they'll go back.
Yeah, I think in the Caribbean, dots give me I'm not as familiar, but when people are coming like that, that would be someone that's from the Caribbean coming back and forth that has it easy. But do you know like the immigration laws? Is it kind of easier to get a citizenship in Caribbean in comparison
Was that for me or her?
for dots?
Man, I'm gonna say no. I know it's for dots, but something just tells me no because if you're looking at the Caribbean, it's majority us. So you literally got to qualify. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Because I don't know if they specifically go by, like, again, if you visit the law library, then you get the particulars on what immigration says, because it specifically states those of us who are indigenous, we have just solely, and then there's just sanguinis. So they distinguish from those who have, uh, they would naturally have their mother's line would denote that they're from a different nation. But clearly the Tainos, they don't consider them as being from another nation. So they automatically that section of people automatically goes into the Indian Bureau and the Indian Affairs Bureau of Indian Affairs.
yeah, if they're actively identifying as such, I guess the where the lines get blurred is that I can see them accepting. Yeah, you know, we tend to associate Tainos a lot of times with Puerto Rico, right? But they're in Cuba. That's the Bahamas. You know, Jamaica. The name may not be Taino, obviously. You got different fractions of these Arawak speaking groups, but
Yeah,
uh,
Arawak. Yeah.
yeah, but Puerto Rico, you know, they are citizens of the United States, but you have other Arawakan groups on these islands that you know these nations, the islands that sit on these islands, you know, they're not they don't have any type of amity with the United States.
Yeah. It's all through contract. So if they offered them, I'm presuming based on what the information I was told as to how those people who could come from Jamaica specifically could just come and do their work, and then they'll probably leave and go back on the weekend. They catch a ferry or whatever. They don't, there's no documentation involved there at all. They don't even have to produce nothing showing that they.
See, the immigration thing, you know, from the Caribbean was not an issue in the 1900s per se because we were segregated. So when our brothers and sisters from the Caribbean came over here, who was they fucking with? They had no choice but to fuck with us. You know, so like I have a Bahamian grandmother, but we know most Bahamians are actually from North America, right? Through the history of how it played out after the Revolutionary War with the Loyalists. They took a lot of um, indentures or slaves, would have it, and they gave them opportunity to partake in the wealth that was being generated on the land. Now you do have an indigenous base of Bahamians there as well, but um, I know for a fact that on that side of my family, you know, when they came over, that was in the early 1900s. So there was no separation between people who were casted into that colored Negro. We all, and at that time, most Caribbeans saw themselves as West Indian when they came over here. But we have integration now, so we integrated with these people. Um, it has not been a fair exchange of culture. We've more so taken on their ideology and the same way our people, the uppity niggas, as we would call it, the same way that they've acquiesced to white society is the same way that any other so-called black immigrant who comes over here now is doing the same. There's no struggle that they can relate to today, unless they are aware of that. So they come over here and they, are automatically kind of separated.
And I
Yeah.
was speaking to some, a South African brother. He said you've been working here for 20 years, and that was the kind of the sentiment that I kind of got, is that he didn't want to, share too much about. He looks at himself as an American, and I was like, not based on your status, you're not.
Nah, not at all.
I'm like, until I don't know if he knew if he gave up his citizenship from South Africa per se, because he was stating that he came over through the situation with apartheid, and I was asking him a specific question. He couldn't give me a direct answer based on me asking him about, did you understand what asylum meant at the time and moment in which you was trying to seek that?
Yeah, the only Americans are the original Americans, if we, want to be technical.
Yeah, because
Yes,
all the literature is, is saying the same thing, is leading back to, because we truly don't even have, like, like, it's the identity crisis that everything is keep referring to, and Trump was hitting on that when he was being asked those questions. He was like, I don't know why he's like, I don't know when she ever claimed that she was black. Like, when did this happen? He was like, truly confused. Like, he's like, I never even heard the lady say that. He said, I know for sure that the lady is Indian, but I don't know when the lady changed herself to being black. When that happened?
Exactly. She wasn't black when she was DA out there, and she was in Cali. So
yeah, and I'm kind of skeptical about that brother's case a little bit right there. I think that might be a little bit of clickbait because it's a little too convenient.
Nah, he came out. It was when they ran back in 2020.
Yeah.
His case was a thing back then.
Yeah.
I remember that dude. You know what I'm saying? So he's just coming back around, but I remember his story then.
Yeah, all the stuff is just tricky. Even the also, I wanted to add to the point of the jurisdiction of quote unquote Canada. People don't know this, and I just found this out. They don't have a constitution to be even labeled as a nation.
Damn.
And I implore everyone on the panel to go and look that up. But that's all I wanted to share with the floor.
I would put Canada is definitely, a part of America. I think we probably conflating some stuff because of the Drake deal. But Drake, that's another situation because he's Jewish. That's really the issue with in that situation. Just to clarify, but I would count Canadians until they state otherwise or show otherwise. They are indigenous, but and what I mean by showing otherwise is just them going against us. You gonna sit over there and play like you're a foreigner, nigga, I'm gonna treat you like
I mean, I guess I presume that would be the training of the younger people, because I don't truly know the older people that's kind of like out and about claiming. It's more or less like the pale skin people. They know that jurisdiction is fake, and they'll say it in little interviews and stuff. Because they be like, the U.S., the U.S., the U.S. That's like their commentary. They always reference the U.S. They don't necessarily say the Canadian people, etc. The news reporter may say that, but the person that they're interviewing, they reference it as the U.S.
I know they don't even say USA no more Only time you see USA is in the Olympics.
Yep. Yep.
It's just US, the United States.
1 second, guys. Charisse, are you still there?
Huh?
Oh, I was checking because Sister Freedom, are you there? I think she may have walked away, but I know you wanted to show something, right?
Yeah, just something really, really brief. Just, just quick. Just want to hit a couple points and keep it moving. It's
Peace.
all.
I'm gonna drop down, panel.
Thanks for coming. Is that it, Charisse?
Yes, it is. So yes, y'all. So in the process, and it's not too much of a segue. I still feel like it's within the same context. I hope y'all can see that, but I'm going to read it to y'all anyway, but I just want to briefly explain it before I read it. So in the process of doing my genealogy, y'all, this is an uncle on my family tree. And he wrote a letter to Du Bois or Du Bois, however we pronounce the name here. And, his history is pretty much is that he is a university trained lawyer, what they would call back then a Negro trained lawyer, one of the first who practiced in Omaha, Nebraska. So I found this document. I've shown it before, but I always want to show it again because I always just find it very, very interesting. Even at this particular time in 1917, he was trying to dispense this word, this terminology. You know what I'm saying? So let me just read it briefly. So it says, "My dear Dr. Dubois, I am glad you are up and at your work again. Your friends and supporters everywhere rejoice that you were not taken from the world at a time when you are so greatly needed. I am sending you herewith my preliminary attack on the word Negro. I shall keep up with the fight until it is dispensed with. Hoping all goes well with you. I am sincerely yours, H.J. Pinkett." And I just wanted to show that because I think a lot of times, that's why I always say these are terms, okay? And I think that is really, that's how I know that we are the true indigenous people to the land. Like, not just people fighting against Negro, fighting against all of the stuff that's been going on that we experience right now to this day. All of the hate and the bigotry and the lies, you know what I mean? Like them trying to take our place here, our rightful place. And, the eradication of words, taking certain words out of its context, putting whatever definition they want to put on it, false claims of being African, all of these things. He's not mentioning those things. He's not saying we're Africans. So, I just think that we really have a lot of work to do when we're talking about the terminology and where we are, how are we going to identify and what that means, because when we're talking about the law, like a lot of people like to bring up the law a lot, and I think that does play a role. So I just wanted to show that and just show like a history, like a little bit of our ancestors, my ancestors especially, have been fighting for these types of changes. And, I just feel like we need to come up with a better way to combat it. So I just wanted to share that briefly. I didn't want to go too much off a track, but I heard a lot of conversation around just the terminology and how we identify and what it means in law and all of that. So I hope that I just wanted to share that with y'all. So, yeah.
No, that's beautiful. And it goes to show we've been making this fight for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like 100 years old, I think, that thing. Is my math right, y'all? So that's an old document. But I don't got time to be getting my math straight. But yeah, I just wanted to share that because I think that we are in a huge state, and that's why we need to know who's for us and who's going to support us and what we need. I don't care. I stand on that. And I think that that's the problem. Like, we've been staunch Democrats for so long, and we've believed those promises our people have. And, and I think that that's why it's so hard for us to stray away from that. But I do think that we need to be able to ask those tough questions and really get down to the root of, like, what's your tea? Like, what is what is your purpose here? Like, why are you pandering to our community, knowing when you get in office, you ain't gonna do a damn thing for our community? Like, let's talk about it. Because I'm tired of pussyfooting around, as Sister Freedom would say, around all of this. And I think that that's my biggest issue behind this whole presidential election. They're saying that they don't know, like she's not even really the complete nominee yet. So I'm talking about millions of dollars, money that we could have been raised for all the issues that's been going on. And then like we're barely talking about Sonia Massey, all of this, y'all. I just got a problem with it. And I feel like that's just gonna keep continuing to happen until something drastic on our end takes place. So I don't know how y'all feel about that. And I think that that's my biggest issue. Like, do we feel like voting is going to really matter in the context of the Black agenda? And that's a question for all the ladies, the gentlemen up here too.
I personally don't believe in it.
I know I was about to say the same thing that those people said, but at the same time, we still got to make a stand. Whether we vote or not, we still got to make a stand. We got to correct things. We got to. And that's the only thing that bothers me with the Trump situation. Is that he has his mind, to me, he's old school. He got his mindset on what he got his mindset on, and it ain't no changing him. So, and probably with the same thing with Kamala. So what I'm saying is we got to make them change it. We can't do it if we not standing on truth. I don't even think that a lot of times, a lot of things that I hear on the YouTube sector, a lot of times these people out here aren't even thinking about what we're talking about. It's crazy to me when you say, I've never heard of Dr. Ben or Dr. Clark. Or, you know what I'm saying? When people say that they have never, I don't know who that is. I'd be like, huh? So where you at? So many different leaders, so many different, Dr. Sebi. Who ain't heard of Dr. Sebi? So a lot of things that we talk about here, they're not even thinking about out here. And that's weird to me. The fact that we want to get our heritage corrected, they're not even thinking about that. They don't even know how important they just going on every day. That's what I'm saying. They keep our minds so occupied, and it's always just us that they keep us so occupied with work, struggle, stress, all kinds of stuff that they keep us occupied. We don't even think about what's important. They really don't care about this election. The only thing that's making it a reality show is the fact that it's a woman now, which is Kamala Harris, and Trump, we know, is just who he is. That's it. A whole reality show. And that's why I'm thinking that the TV and everything that made us want to see stupid stuff like that. I mean, Cherise, you might see it different. You can tell me if you don't agree, but I'm just saying the whole thing is like a reality show to me. Everything now in the political world went to a reality show, because ain't nowhere in the world Trump is going to have all these charges that they just looked over, and he come to become the president, and all these brothers sitting in jail for similar to the same crimes. That's just don't make no sense. It just don't.
Girl, they got to prove that a crime was committed, and that's the whole tea. It's a person like that.
Get it? We know Trump crazy stuff, but Trump did more stuff like in Atlantic City. They sold all those that built the casinos for him. Then he didn't pay them. They had to take him to court to get paid. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to be biased on either side. On either side, because the things that I heard about, how are you gonna put a woman in jail because her child decided to hoogie school?
Or they just late. And he would do it just because they're late. They're not even not going to school because they late. 10 minutes.
policy thing was Kamala Harris. Am I wrong, y'all?
Yeah, that's Kamala. That's how
Yeah,
she.
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying so on both sides, they doing all kinds of stuff that make people don't trust them to be their president. I'm waiting. That's what I'm saying. The same way she asked Trump those questions, she should be asking, or somebody should be straight up asking Kamala Harris the same things.
But can I say something to your point, Charisse, too, about like is voting and do we believe in voting and different things? I always think of, and I'm addressing the Black community tonight because a lot of this stuff is associated with the Black community. A lot of times we have been a part of that, wherever we are, and now we do have that from being a part of the Black community before.
Right.
So, when Lou Gehrig's disease became a big thing, which is called ASL. And they were like, let's do the ice bucket challenge. They got millions of our people to donate to the fact that they had like $90 million for a disease that affects 1 to 2% of white men. And they held it up as far as to be like, oh, it's so excruciating. They even had, when I was like, but it's not even going against people, they're like, but it has to be so painful. You're so messed up for not going, for standing up against this. How much money can we get to galvanize for sickle cell? Like, when it's sickle cell month, who are we getting to get all this money together? Where's the challenge? And it's not that, oh, we're not voting, we're not doing this. It's that our mentality is effed up. And that's the problem. We have no mentality to be like, let's be for the betterment of our people. But as soon as they give a sprinkle, a little carrot in front of us, I think Claudia Anderson said it like, white ice is better. You could have two stores, same ice, but the white people's ice, for some reason, we think is gonna taste better. Something about it. It just hits the spot. So we're mentality, we've already been conquered. And that's the problem. So that's where we'll always be seeking all these roundabout ways to have power, even though we have the most power, we have the most influence. That's why they use us. That's why they come to us. But we don't understand we have it. So they can just use our power and we'll galvanize for any little stupid thing they have us galvanized for, except ourselves.
Yeah, I totally agree though. See, Sister Freedom, I really want to talk to you because like when we keep going back and talking about this interview, like you said, I understand where you're coming from when you're saying that we need to ask the questions, we need to ask, you know what I'm saying? Like we can't be afraid to ask the tough questions. Now, I just think like her disposition and the way in which she asked the questions, like, I'm sorry, Sister Freedom, but that was not cool. And she could have us having a conversation up here could have done a better job at conducting that interview. Seriously, I think that that's the issue here. Like, it's okay to ask, but it's the way in which she was asking. And and I can understand why he was responding the way that he was. Like, you know, it's okay to have a difference of opinion with somebody, you know, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't show them any less respect. And that's just what it is. Like, I mean, I just think that her tone, everything, I watched the whole thing. I was just like, I was like, see, that's not the way you handle it. And she didn't handle it correctly. I think that she could have still asked the same questions, but in the manner in which it was done, I don't think that it was like really appropriate. Like, even just starting off that way, you already starting off with like a bad tone. You know what I mean? And you kind of want to more so focus it on, you know, his policies, the things he done in his presidency, and the things that he planned to do for so-called Black America. And I think that if we stay focused on the topic and stop being in our emotions so much, then maybe we can actually get things done in that realm. You understand me, Sister Freedom? I'm not saying that you wrong.
No. I mean, you have a right, Sharice. You have a right to your opinion, and I have to accept your opinion. You know, I just didn't think so, but you know, I just want you to give me an example. You know, on how you asked them the same questions.
Shoot, look at you trying to be on the spot. Okay. First of all, like, even in the context of trying to, figure out if he's a racist or have said racist things. Like me personally, have never heard him speak in a racist manner toward our people. I don't feel like I've ever heard that. So I think just to start off that way, I wouldn't start off the conversation with that tone, even if that is something that I wanted to address. I just think that, you know, maybe you could ask him, does he feel this way? You know, are these things true? Is that indicative of your character? Is this what you think about our people? But I've never heard him say anything in that regard, like that he, you know, felt a specific way about us. So,
well, he did make those statements to people that you sound stupid and all that kind of stuff that he was saying, which, you know, but here's the thing, you know, I don't see her being or anybody being able to ask him those questions and him not get offended. I don't care how nice or how he would have still got offended because he's trying to get the vote from the copper people. So what I'm saying is he didn't want to answer it anyway. I don't care how he said, well, you know, with some rumors being said that you said X, Y, Z. And, you know, and I did my research and I found that wasn't true. You know, either way it go is still calling him what he is. And that's a liar. You know what I'm saying? I mean, everybody has their own opinion, you know, on things. And I'm just a straight up person. If I'm gonna ask them, I'm gonna ask them, and I would have probably asked them the exact same way that she did. You know what I'm saying? Just like if it was Kamala, like I said, I would have asked her the same things, but you know, the opposite percent. I don't think she was rude at all. I think she was straight to the point, and he just didn't want to answer the questions, point blank. Because he said the things, he said everything that she asked him. Even when she asked him about Kamala, would you allow people to keep saying these things about her? I don't know how else she could have asked him that. And then he went into the rudely talking about, well, you know, she said she was Indian, and I know what he's saying is true. Now his tone and how he was saying it to me was rude. You know, to me, how he answered her was rude. You know, about Kamala.
Even you know,
a question and not made those negative statements. He could have just, I mean, seriously though, Trees, he could have just answered the question on each one. He could have just said, well, I did make those statements, and later on I found out he was born in America. Boom, that would have been done. Then the other question she asked him, I'm trying to think whatever it was, but he could have just answered the question and not let people see that he is truly a carrot head. You know what I'm saying? That he just is who he is. That he looked all over the question to make some more statements to try to make himself look good, but all he did was, to me, was make himself look stupid. If I not answer the question, you think other people didn't realize it? If I did, you think everybody wasn't looking and saying, this fool ain't even answering none of the questions. He going back to the immigrant thing on one question and didn't have nothing to do with the question she asked him. I mean, we gotta keep it real. Okay, you like Trump, but at the same time, I feel like just what they said.
It's not about picking him or not. I just like to keep the fact.
I said, or you might not like him. You know, so I'm not sure, but
keeping the fact and being fed.
He said that he's the devil.
No, go ahead, Sister Freedom. I'm sorry, boo, because I didn't want.
No, I was saying, if somebody telling me he is the devil, then you telling me to go to hell. Like, I'm just gonna straight put myself in hell. That's just like somebody said, don't go over to Freedom House, because, honey, first of all, her and her sister straight up gold diggers. And don't mess with her, because she will cut you. It's all true.
Ready?
I'm older now, but my heyday girl. Okay. Click. Okay. So what I'm saying is, and you just gonna go? And somebody told you Sister Freedom crazy. Don't go over there, because she will cut you up. Too short to shit. And you still gonna go. Oh, you see what I'm saying? Girl, ain't nobody think about him or her. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, Derek. She must
is that yeah, there we go. There we go.
Okay, so I pulled this up just to show. Oh, sorry. Just to show a few more minutes of this of the interview or what have you. Okay, and then you guys can tell me what you guys think.
It's in the beginning. I think it was the beginning.
Yes, towards the beginning, and I won't play. Obviously, I can't play all of it, but I'll play like the first couple of minutes. You know, here we go.
Yeah.
1 second, y'all. Okay.
Mr. President, we so appreciate you giving us an hour of your time. I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabid to describe Black district attorneys. You've attacked Black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking Black supporters to vote for you, why should Black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question so in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the Black population of this country. I've done so much for the Black population of this country, including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for Black workers and Black entrepreneurs. I've done so much. And, you know, and I say this, historically Black colleges and universities were out of money. They were stone cold broke. And I saved them and I gave them long-term financing and nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that. And let me go a step further. I was invited here and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here. It turned out my opponent isn't here. You invited me under false pretense. And then you said, you can't do it with Zoom. Well, you know, where's Zoom? She's going to do it with Zoom and she's not coming. And then you were half an hour late, just so we understand. I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working or something was
Mr. President,
wrong.
I would love
I think
if you
it's
can
a
answer the
very
question
nasty
on your rhetoric
question.
and why you
I
believe
have
that
answered
Black
the
voters
question.
should trust you with another
I
4
have
years.
been the best president for the Black population since Abraham Lincoln. That's my answer.
Better than President
That's
Johnson,
my
who signed
answer.
the Voting Rights
And
Act.
for you to start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment to work in such a hostile manner, I think it's a disgrace. I
Let
really
me
do.
let me just ask a follow-up, sir, and then we'll move on to other questions here. Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first Black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define
Diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is
Give me a
literally the
definition then. Would you give me a definition
DEI.
of that? Give me a definition.
Sir, I'm asking you a question, a
you
very
have to
direct
define
question.
it. Define it for me if you
I
would.
just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a Black woman?
Well, I can say no. I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was Black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn Black, and now she wants to be known as Black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she Black?
She is always
But you know
identified
what?
as a Black woman.
I
She went to a
respect either
historically Black
one.
college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a Black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe
I
that she
think
is
somebody should look into that too when you ask continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct question, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, as some
I
Republicans
really
have
don't
said?
know. I mean, I really don't know. Could be. There are some, and there are plenty. I know this lady right over there, Harris, is a fantastic person who just interviewed me at length. And we had a great interview, I think, and I heard you got very good ratings on that.
Well,
interview.
you told me it was the longest one of your life, so we had a good discussion. Look, I want to talk about why you're here today.
Okay, I'm getting ready to stop this.
It is not lost on us how divided we are as a country. And as you were coming today, we really got to see that we are divided along the lines of race, along the lines of gender. And there is this question of, in this moment where we are, why come here? What is your message today?
My message is to stop people from invading our country that are taking, frankly, a lot of problems with it. But one of the big problems, and a lot of the journalists in this room I know and I have great respect for, a lot of the journalists in this room are black. I will tell you that coming from the border are millions and millions of people that happen to be taking black jobs. You had the best.
What exactly is a black job, sir?
A black job is anybody that has a job. That's what it is. Anybody that has a job.
All right.
And
Mr. President,
they're taking the employment away from black people. They're coming in, they're invading. It's an invasion of millions of people, probably 15, 16, 17 million people. I have a feeling it's much more than that. And everybody's been seeing what's happened. The first group of people, the black population, is affected most by that. And Kamala is allowing it to happen. She's the border czar. She's the worst border czar in the history of the world. There's never been a border czar like this. She's never even essentially been. She said she was there once, but not the right part of the border. So she was a border czar. She's done a horrible job. These people are coming into our country and they're taking black jobs and Hispanic jobs. And frankly, they're taking union jobs. Unions are being very badly affected by all of the millions of people that are pouring into our country. And one thing, as we discussed, many of these people are coming in from mental institutions, from prisons, from jails. They're gang members in other countries. Other countries are setting loose their prisoners. They're opening up their prisons and their mental institutions, and they're taking their bad people, drug dealers, gang members, and they're bringing them into the United States. And by the way, their crime rate is going down, and our crime rate is going to be a disaster.
Mr. President, I want to get into how you address some of the issues with black communities. And I say that plural because we live in communities of color that are different. We're not all the same. We don't vote the same. We don't think the same.
Sure.
It's not monolithic. So as you come here today, I want to talk about something that bursts. And this is the weight of the inflation on this country right now. The nonprofit Money Management International recently released data from its mid-year analysis that we have found a 52% rise in people who are seeking counseling for being in credit debt. They're paying for food that is sky high on their credit cards, and now they can't pay that off. The credit counseling nonprofit MMI, as I said, is saying now that they've seen surges that they haven't seen since we were in a pandemic of people in financial trouble. Much of that falls on the shoulders of single moms, single black moms, when you look statistically. Yeah. How do you turn it around? What's your plan for the black community when it comes to money?
So, first of all, it's very hard to hear you for whatever reason because of the fact that they have bad equipment, because I guess, this woman was unable to get the right equipment. But it's very hard for me to hear you, but I can hear every other word. It's very difficult, actually. But so I don't know if they can fix it or do something with it, but I'll do the best I can with it. The inflation is absolutely destroying our middle class, our working class, virtually every class. Inflation is a disaster in our country. Inflation is a country buster. It breaks every country. And we had, in my opinion, the worst inflation we've had. They say it's 58 years, but I think it's much more than that. It's been devastating. And if you just take a look at a lot of things they don't include, like interest rates. Interest rates went from 2.4% to 10%, and you can't get the money. People can't buy houses. They no longer have the American dream. Young people, young black people, they don't have the American dream anymore. They can't buy a house. They can't borrow the money because of the cost of the money. They can't buy it because of the cost of housing, because of the cost to build it, because of inflation. Inflation is a disaster, and it's destroying our country. and it's destroying the black community probably as much or
So what do
more
you do?
than any
What's your plan?
You know what we have to do? We have to bring down the cost of energy, and that's going to bring down the cost of inflation. This was all started with a bad energy policy by Joe Biden. By the way, just if I might, I was running.
Okay, I'm going to pause it there. I'm going to pause it there.
I don't think she was rude, but that's my opinion. You know, it's just an opinion.
In terms of, right, exactly, Sakina, right? When she said, okay, so what are you going to do about it? Again, very general, nothing very specific. He did mention a lot, though. You know, he spoke about, we talked about this earlier, but for those of you who are just coming into the chat, you know, he talked about how Kamala is self-identifying now versus how she was identifying in the past. He did speak about immigration. You know, that's always been something that he stood firm on. And then when she asked him in terms of like the economics, right? Like specifically, what are you going to do? That was his answer, to lower energy cost. Ladies, take it away.
I mean, I've said it time and time again how I feel. I mean, I think they all just say things that are of course important, what we care the most about, but it's about what they actually do when it comes to office time, which is none of the stuff they say they're going to do. But I just hope that we have a prosperous next 4 years, no matter who is the president, and we get our stuff together, because our stuff goes beyond who's in office.
Yeah, I feel the same way. A lot of times, I think it just gets lost in translation so much. Like, with in the midst of everything else that's going on, I just think there's so many things that got to be addressed that, I mean, I think our plight is probably the strongest in that regard, but I still feel like when it comes down to any type of political figure, I think it just always goes unheard. Now, he sounds like he wants to do something in regards to, I mean, I'm not sure if lowering energy costs is the only way that is going to combat all the overall issues. But I mean, I think for him to even sit there with them and have a conversation is important, because I think that we miss the point a lot of times when it comes down to just being able to have a conversation with a potential presidential candidate. And that was the perfect form to really lay out everything. And like I said, just starting out like that, like those were all isolated incidents that she was referring to. And I don't think that those types of incidents encompasses his thoughts about all of us, just like anybody having an opinion about an individual person. So, you know, with that being said, I think that you know, I think they talk a lot of shit, but they got to back it up. To, and that's just that on that. Whoever it may be, if we're depending on this system of things to change in our favor, but I don't see it, because I heard Mr. Judge Joe Brown, you know, speak about due process of the law and all of these different things, and I was just like, wow, it just almost makes me feel like it's a means, it's like a dead end. It's almost a means to no end. You know, like it's almost no way around all the legalese and things like that. So, I mean, I don't know. Like for me, it's like that's why I try not to really get too much involved in politics. But you know, when we have a woman like Kamala Harris, that is, I would say, in my personal opinion, cosplaying as a Black woman, I don't think that it counts that because you graduated from an HBCU or that you are a part of a Divine Nine that would make you one of us. I've never seen any of those groups directly in our communities fighting for the change that needs to be directly within, where all the violence is going on, where the people are really at. You know, like cleaning up a park is not the same as coming into the hood. It's not the same thing. And I just don't, it doesn't compare in my opinion. And I don't depend or trust on any of those people to do anything that would directly impact us as a whole. And that's the problem that I have with that, with all of that. Like, it's just it's a huge issue. Like, I've seen her going around, because these sororities and fraternities, especially sororities, have millions of women in them in America.
But
so imagine
how he answers is how he gonna be judged. How he answers,
you know, you give what you get. Shit. I mean, shoot.
But it's people online saying that after that he should just bow out. That's how bad he did. But you know, I don't think she was rude. I just think she was straight to the point. I don't know.
He just took advantage of that moment instead of making it like that. It could have been more productive.
Ask him the hard questions. He's great, trying to be our president.
Isolated incident that he was having with people that whatever that was, but that don't matter. The only thing that matters is what is your agenda? What do you plan? What are you going to do for us to vote for you? If that's what if that's the context of this forum that they were having, and it needs to stay on that. Bottom line, like anything else outside of that is the main issue why we can't get stuff done now. Using it, like that's, and we keep worrying about that instead of focusing on what our agenda is. Like, they should have had that stuff written down, clear and concise. What are you going to do? What is your plan to mobilize? Not mobilize, but excuse those words. Scratch that. To help, not help. I don't even like to use the word help. What are you going to do to better our people? Better the circumstances.
That's the question. Faking it. Just I want to hear what you doing for our people. That's it.
I don't want to hear all them questions about all that stuff. I don't care about that. Like, when we talking about the meat and potatoes, like, you know, and I felt like him addressing immigration was very important, and we do need to take heed to that. I don't care what anybody say. We need to take heed to that because it's a problem. And it's only going to progress, and it's only going to get worse. I'm telling you. And it's been a plan that's been in place and in motion for a long time, and now we're seeing that plan unveil itself in real live human time. Like, we're not fleeing our country, running over there to nowhere else. No, we've always stood here and stood 10 toes, and we need to continue to do that. But like I said, if we keep being immature. And I hate to say that, but it's true. We got to stop being so immature and just, you know what I'm saying? Like, none of that matters. Those are isolated incidents that young woman brought up that wasn't relevant to him being there. And that's all I'm saying. And we just need to stick to whatever it is, whatever he dealing with his lawsuit, his case, whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's a totally different thing outside of the so-called black agenda. What is he going to do? And that, like I said, I think that was just a perfect time for them to be able to really grill him on that. And will he be willing to listen to any type of bills that may be presented on behalf of Black people, nationality, questions like that, those important things. Because that's the stuff that's affecting us. And that's why we can't get a lot of things done. And then we have the other half of our people who have a false connection to Africa. So we dealing with that too. So we have to differentiate between who is who. And that's what it is. And that's the stuff that got to get established. So I don't know, y'all. I don't know. It gives me a headache. I just don't want us showing that type of side. Like, when we need to be focused on what the real issues are, because like a lot of people are not really out here in the communities for real. They're not out here doing the real grassroots work. They're not with the people. They're not. And I know it for a fact because I've seen it even in my past internship this year. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are in a lot of danger when it comes to there. Like in Washington D.C. right now, there are more people of color or white people that are adopting our babies at a high rate. Okay, we're dealing with so many issues like that. We have a lot of and they're so quick to do it. They're so quick to do it because, like, they tell us, oh, you know, we're supposed to go in and not really, you know, empower them to restore their lives, blah, 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 blah. It all sounds good. But the reality is, you get yourself hemmed up in that type of system, trust and believe they're just trying their best to get the problem out of their hands by trying to move it somewhere else, by putting your kid up for adoption, by putting your kid in a foster home and still not really helping them while they in the foster home. I've seen this. People not doing their jobs. So we have a lot of issues where we are in danger in every round facet of our system, the intersectionality of it all, y'all. When we talking about the health system, schools, all of it, it connects and it affects us directly. And that's why I think that's the stuff that we need to see.
It's 1:00 in the morning.
So
late. Dots, can we one more time, y'all, and that's it. After
Thank you, y'all. No, it's okay. Thank y'all for letting me be here and just share for a moment. Thank y'all.
We listen. You don't ever have to thank us. Okay. By the way, okay. Do y'all in the chat, cousins in the chat? Do y'all see how gorgeous Charise is? I said you better show that melanin, girl. You better show that shoulder. So,
okay.
I just you know, this is my last point, and that'll be the last thing I say for the night. So like throughout the I haven't really yet said where I stand personally. A lot of the questions and stuff that I was sharing was more so for the conversation, and sharing talking points. I think though that I think also we need to sort of remember what the role of the president is, what the role of the executive branch is. And ultimately, they're the head of state, right? They're the chief commander, what do you call it? The commander in chief, so to speak, right? They simply are there to pretty much enforce whatever laws already created by Congress. So the role of the president is not necessarily that type of local government, right? So like when we're talking about schools and when we're talking about the soul of our community, like those types of local issues, it just reminds me of just how important it is, right? To be like when you talk about voting, that's where it counts. You're with your local elections, right? Knowing who your court clerk is, who the judge of your county is, those types of things. The role of the president is more national. And, I think I personally think about, in terms of a choice, which candidate would be more effective on a geopolitical scale, right? Because ultimately that is the role of the executive branch, right? They don't pass laws. They don't, they don't write laws, right? They're simply there to enforce and execute the laws that has already been there by Congress, So I would just say to the people, in terms of a choice, ultimately it is your decision. We know that it's not the popular vote that elects the president, right? It's the electoral college. But in terms of an international scale or having a presence internationally, is Kamala Harris more effective or would be more effective, or Donald Trump? And the last thing, my last point would be, I think it's a wonderful thing that at least now in 2024, right, we're at a stage where candidates are realizing that they cannot just assume that because a candidate is quote unquote black, that black people are going to vote for him or her, that the vote needs to be earned, right? And so that's why these conversations are so important for us to have at the end of the day, right? To push this forward. It's like, no, just because you pledged, in a D9, your sorority is part of the D9, and just because, you put on a dress with a Jamaica flag on, doesn't necessarily make you, one of quote unquote us, or somebody that I would trust or believe in necessarily to push forth my agenda. So I think that's the bigger picture. And I think that really is a wonderful thing. Because for a long time, historically, it's like, oh, Democrat. Yep. If you black, you vote Democrat. No. It don't work that way. We're not doing that. So that's all. That's my last point.
Well, everyone, it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Charise, for coming. And it really has been a great show. Love all the ladies and us getting our opinions out. And thank you for all the people that came up. I'll say for my last point, I think we really need to start, understanding the lobbyist aspect, understanding the private sector, understanding our power in all of this and, utilizing it. We really should be researching now, how do you get different things pushed? How do other people go about it? We have let all these people talk for us, say that they're our voice. And that's really what the Black voice is. The Black voice is having anyone that's in, I guess, social media, anyone that's famous, anyone that just seems to have the power in the community to influence millions of people, to be the voice of the people no matter what people actually want. And they're definitely not the voice of indigenous people. So we really need to start learning, how do you get your agendas pushed, and going about what other people are doing, because other people aren't having a problem with this. And that's all I'll say on this. Is Nisha gone?
I think she might be, but I'm about done.
I think so. I'm tired too.
I'm tired, y'all. I'm tired.
Yes, I had so much fun.
This was a good conversation, though. I'm just like that. That's that Taurus in me. They don't like when I say that.
Yes, I had a good time, ladies. Like, we need to continue to have these kinds of bills and these kinds of conversations. Like, I think everyone up here had a different opinion, and it was things that we agreed on, and it was things we wasn't. But like, I feel like it was extremely respectful, and I think that we need to continue to be that guiding light and example for how you are to conduct yourself in environments with each other as sisters, as women, as the originals. Period. Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
There you go, girl.
Out tonight. Good. We out tonight. Well, y'all want to say goodbye?
Yeah, we already did, girl.
Yeah, that's what we was doing.
We already said our goodbyes.
Yeah,
I was talking about
that's what we were saying.
Goodbye. I said y'all want to say goodbye. Y'all, that's like all of us saying bye, y'all, together.
Oh, okay. So one.
What we doing, the Mickey Mouse Club? When have we done that?
Okay, come on, y'all.
Now it's time to say goodbye
to all
our family.
Yep. All right. Peace. Peace. Bye, y'all.
All right. Peace. All right. Peace.
Yes, y'all. Thank you so much again. I know y'all said I have to thank y'all, but thank you so much. For real.
That was fun. We need to come back and do that again. That was good girl talk.
Yes, I loved it.
Did you end it?
I don't think she did.
I did.
It's still saying that.
I don't know why.
Yeah, the camera still, it's still.